What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? I'm Celtic Warrior Damon.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Hey yo, welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, where every show is our first show because we can't get one show right. So that's where we're at. I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WOTR, the show. With me today, we got Sports Beard. Say what's up, Sports Beard.
Hey everybody, glad to be back.
Also making a comeback, we got Kevlar on the Rocks.
What's up, everyone? Hope you're all doing great today.
Dude,
Kev's disappointed because the last week's guest was so much better looking than me.
Just a smidge.
Yeah, I thought I was done. I thought my career was going to be over.
Yep.
It is really difficult to talk with the toothpick in your mouth. I don't know how the fuck he did it forever. Like,
Put it on the side.
I'm trying, but it moves a lot. Like,
No,
he had to wedge it.
he's a two-time Hall of Famer for a reason.
He is
Yeah.
a two-time Hall of Famer. Real quick, let's get into a little bit of what's in your glass. I'm going to start with Kev. Kev, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a couple things. Patty's Irish whiskey and some Broken Skull IPA.
Nice.
Son of a bitch. Did you come back from
316
California or
day.
something?
No.
Or are you just holding on to that from before?
Yeah, actually. I looked at a couple places in town to try and get the American lager, but no dice.
You need to bring some of that up to Alaska when you come up.
Well, it's not here in Arizona. I had to go to California to get it. And then, but I will say in July, so right after we're back from Alaska, is when it shows up in Arizona, because all of the El Segundo distributors get a 4th of July America pack, and it usually has Broken Skull IPA in there because of that.
Okay.
Makes me wonder if they're going to have the American lager this year as well. That's what I'm anticipating.
Well, I want the IPA anyway, but like
I want them both.
I don't want you to go out of your way to find a thing of the new whatever. But
No, I want it.
Well, there's been a couple places in town that have had the IPA regularly.
Not regularly. Plaza had it for a while, and we bought them out, and they didn't get it again until the next July. And then there was a restaurant in town that had a small supply of it and did a special. But outside of that, I don't know any place that's had it outside of that July time frame when they're seemingly able to get it.
I thought I've seen it at AJ's a few times.
these are local. I'm going to guess these are local liquors.
Yeah.
You guys have in Tucson, so
Yeah.
Yes.
we have some people in the stretch. Miss Fabtina, but great tribute. Hey yo, say hello to the dive bar. Cheers, my friends. Just in time, baby. That was from Just in Time.
Yes,
Nice to see you,
say
Just in
hello
Time.
to the dive bar.
And then Miss Fabtina says transgender pride. Rock on, Miss Fabtina.
Really?
I'm getting it through the YouTube chat from the stream.
Oh, yeah.
Or are you saying really?
I just don't know the context of it compared to what we were talking about.
Maybe they're transgender. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not saying don't be prideful and don't be positive. I just felt like it was a little off topic and I was a little confused. I thought maybe I missed something. Beard, what's in your glass? What are you drinking?
I brought in some because I couldn't get Broken Skull IPA. I brought in some Denali Brewing Company Twister Creek IPA, but mostly we'll be drinking Liquid Death because your homeboy's down to like 215. So
Very good.
getting into that fighting weight because I'm gonna go over to the Ukraine and fucking kill me some fucking Russians.
Oh, I thought because you're expecting to see me in a couple months and you wanted to be ready to beat the shit out of me as soon as you saw me.
No,
That's
I
it.
don't need to be in shape for that. Come on. I mean, I did train to kill people for 25 years. So
I trained to stay alive for like 4 years. So
Probably harder job, honestly, working in a prison than it was in the military. However, some people in the military, It's actually funny because a friend of mine texted me yesterday and he goes, "Hey, did you hear Chuck?" It was a guy we served with. I don't want to say his name. You hear he died? And I said, "Oh no, that's terrible. I feel bad for his family." But the guy had like kind of, lost his job and a bunch of stuff because he got fallen off the wagon as far as drugs and stuff. But he was like, "Well, where'd you find out?" I go, "Dude, I thought you were telling me he died." So we figured out. He finally reached out to his ex-wife and he figured out, no, he's still alive, unfortunately, so he didn't die. So that was sort of hilarious. Anyway, go ahead. I know we were going to talk about death, so pick it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nice segue.
I'm having a gin and sweet tea. I just want to see how it is. Earlier this week, Scott Hall. Well, what was it? About 2 weeks ago, Scott Hall had a nasty fall and it hurt his hip. And earlier this week, he went in for surgery for the hip, and apparently there's complications, resulting in several heart attacks, which resulted in life support, which resulted in coming off life support, and we lost one of the great ones, one of the bad guys. We lost Razor Ramon, Scott Hall, Diamond Stud, whatever you knew him as. I'm sure you knew him. That was a bummer, man. It hit, and one of my first thoughts, just because it is what it is, I immediately thought about Sean Waltman because I know how close they are. I was like, God, that's got to be rough for him.
Well, he tweeted he's gone like right away.
Yeah, he was a lot more active on Twitter that day and the following day than I would have anticipated. Than I probably would have been myself. You know what I mean? I was kind of surprised, but at the same time, like, I don't know. I've lost close friends, and it's difficult to know how to navigate that, and to add celebrity to that's got to be even more insane. So, I don't know. Let's start with Kev a little bit. Kev, thoughts, memories, anything?
I mean, like, everyone knew Scott Hall. I mean, I started watching or paying attention to his career obviously when he was Razor Ramon. Yeah. And his matches with 1-2-3 Kid, and speaking of Sean Waltman. And Sean at WrestleMania and the ladder match and stuff like that, and then the whole Outsiders thing, and like just crazy. Like he's like a big chunk of my wrestling was with him in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It was so much of it. I mean, yeah, you and I would call each other during the Monday Night Wars. What's going on over there? It's like, the Outsiders are here. Come back. You know what I mean? Like clicking back and forth.
Yeah.
Once Hall and Nash were on TV, there was no missing those segments. Like no matter how much you liked or hated any given moment of WCW at that time, they were can't miss. They were volatile and revolutionary in so many ways there. Dude, I was thinking about it because I've thought about this before. And I want to check my timeline because I don't know if it's a real memory or not. You know how sometimes you just watch stuff old, right? But I feel like I think the first pay-per-view I saw with you was, I think it was at WrestleMania 10. But I also think that I don't know if I knew you just yet then. Because I remember really watching in 96, like just before the Attitude Era. Because I remember the Ringmaster. I remember watching Mankind debut and all of that. I don't know if we were hanging out or not, but I feel like I have memories of watching that ladder match at your house.
I mean, it's like you said, it does fit the timeline. I would imagine so.
It also could have been one of the first times we even hung out was, hey, come over to my house for a pay-per-view. And I would have just watched the pay-per-view and been like, that was that, because it would probably taken me more time to get into the show itself. So it kind of stands to reason that it's possible that I didn't really get into it for another year or so as I was going to your house from time to time for pay-per-views only. But I don't know. I've had that memory for a while, and I keep meaning to like look up the years and everything and be like, is it actually possible, or did my brain fabricate it at some point because I've seen that match so many times now?
Well, see, I think because we knew each other before then.
I don't remember.
In 96.
Well, yeah, we knew each other by 96 for sure. I don't know. Either way, it's my earliest memory, and I don't know if it's real, but the idea that I fabricated a memory with Scott Hall as a possibility. But it's been a couple years that I keep meaning to like look at it. But yeah,
Actually, truthfully, I don't think so.
You don't
Anyways, well,
No.
I don't think so. I think he fabricated it. You
I
fucking
kinda think I
liar.
might have. Yeah, I think I might have. That's why I keep going. Like, I don't know. But either way, dude, I remember when he showed up. You know that you know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here. It was fucking incredible. When I met him at StarCast, I got a chance to meet Scott Hall. I got to meet him with the whole NWO. It was him, Nash, X-Pac, and Eric Bischoff, all right there in the line. And I came walking in, and I do the 2 Sweet, and I was like, "Can I get a 2 Sweet?" And I'm doing the 2 Sweet, and I nervously kind of say, and this is before COVID, but I nervously kind of say, like, how cool is it that you guys either intentionally or unintentionally found the most hygienic greeting for these mass cattle call meet and greets, where you don't have to rub hands and hug people, you can just tap the fingers. And when I said that, like, Nash and X-Pac and Bischoff were all kind of like, okay, yeah, you know. And then but Scott, he goes, oh man, he goes, no, I always wanted something like that. And he goes, you know who I loved was the Fabulous Freebirds. And he goes, they used to do the knuckles, but they call it napes. And all the meets, whenever they'd meet the fans, it was napes, napes, napes. And he goes, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And he's like, I always wanted something like that. He goes, I'm glad we got that, you know, the 2 Sweet. And then as he's telling me that, Kevin Nash just goes, Scott, no one gives a shit about you and the Fabulous Freebirds. Stop going on about them.
That's awesome.
And Scott just looks at me and shrugs. He's like, big fan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool. Really nice guys, all of them. But yeah, that was a memory that'll stick out for a long time. I mean, even since then, I've always thought napes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. It's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. He was, what, 63?
62, it said.
62?
Yeah, not old. That's not old.
Not old. Not old, but he lived a long
63,
lifestyle.
kind of. 62, it's not old.
Yeah, right. But I do think that, I mean, I don't know if it's appropriate or not to thank Diamond Dallas Page, but I feel like a big thank you should go out to Diamond Dallas Page for being able to get us those extra years with him, because if Scott Hall didn't find Page the times that they did, this might have been a lot shorter story. And I'm really happy that he, at least at the end of his life, got to see how much the fan base loved him and appreciate him. He got to go into the Hall of Fame twice and be there with his close friends. Like, it's amazing and it's special. And I'm just, there's been so many people we've lost who never got to know. And they talk about it nowadays, give people their flowers before you can't and all that. I'm really happy for guys like Scott Hall and Sean Waltman, actually, too, who are these, like, success stories of that they didn't have to be, that they're able to see now, that people care. And the Scott Hall got to see that and see how well he was appreciated before his time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, you watched during the Attitude Era some sports beer, but it was mostly WWF, right?
Yeah, I mean, I specifically remember when Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, aka Razor Ramon, went over to WCW and started to form the NWO stuff. It was hard to not see that stuff and be like, wow, because I mean, Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel, and Razor Ramon were pretty big wrestlers in the WWE. So when they left, it was a big deal. Yeah. Yep, no, for sure, man. It's, you know, I always thought he was one of the best characters and hated to see him. But I think, you know, if you think about it too, though, like that, those Monday Night Wars were like the most important time to wrestling. So, you know, you don't have to be a WWE fan to appreciate what the WCW fan to appreciate what they brought. I mean, of course, I was a WCW fan. Like, there's a lot of good wrestlers that came out of there. I watched some of the WCW stuff too, you know, from time to time, just not, you know, not diehard as a casual watcher and stuff, but because those guys were such big personalities on, you know, and then you could throw in Hollywood, Hulk Hogan and stuff like that. And like, there's, you know, you don't get a bigger wrestler than him probably, really. Right. So, yeah. So I just like, yeah, man. And it's sad to see some of these, you know, and you said, I'll make this comment and then I don't really have anything to say about Scott Hall other than rest in peace, man. But, you know, the fact that he got in the Hall of Fame before he died, because we're putting in Vader in the Hall of Fame this year, you know, and, you know, it's just kind of, it's a little bittersweet to see some of these guys that are you know, posthumously getting into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
China, as an example too, where it's cool to see. So from the stream, we got Mrs. Tiny Corn Dog, Steel 3 Steel. Ooh, yeah. Steel 3 Steel. I don't know the reference, but.
Oh, it's a Macho Man emoji on Twitch stream.
Oh.
So, but yeah, it is, yeah. Especially with guys like Vader and Anvil, when you see them go in and we just lost them not that long ago, those are always real sad too. So,
Micah in the chat says he's a big fan of matinee streams. How are you guys? Nice to see you, Micah. And I think I follow you on Twitter now. It's like a full-on dad. I thought he was like a 12-year-old kid the way Marsh talks about him. So,
the way he behaves, yeah.
So anyway, go ahead, Marsh.
Yeah,
I don't have anything more to say.
And I was just thinking too how wild it was that we lost him with the complications of surgery, given all the hardships that we could have lost him. That it was kind of jarring in general. It's kind of like, fuck,
Well, those things play a factor, though, man. If you're burning the candle at both ends, I don't know what his addiction problems were, but I lost a friend to COVID, but he didn't die solely because of COVID, right? He died because he drank his liver almost to death. So that's a big factor.
Yeah, it'll increase risk for sure, but.
Yeah.
But
Miss
in a sense, though, it's better this way, obviously, than to have a tragedy. Like, this is a different type of tragedy. So, I don't know. It just sucks, and there's no making sense of it. Is I guess all I'm saying.
Personally, I always think that, like, when you hear of somebody dying of like an OD or something drug or drinking related, there's always like a negative connotation around them.
Yeah.
Like the way that they went out.
Mm-hmm.
So, since it wasn't, that, like, I'm not saying it's good, but it just feels better. You know what I mean?
It does, because I think that we all loved him so much, and when we would see him go through those issues, it was always the fear, and then you'd see it pop up on the news cycle, and it would be like, oh, Scott Hall's in the news, and it was always like, oh no, and you're always so scared of what you're going to read. And to see that at the end of it all, like, he was at a place where when we see his name come up, it wasn't that. It does feel, in a sense, much better than to not have that kind of, like you said, terrible connotation on the other end of it, and to be on the other side of it, to where when we hear that he's not doing well, the first thought isn't that immediately. It's well, he's doing so much better now, so what could it be? Like, you know what I mean? So I agree 100%. Yeah, Mike is in the chat, says RIP to Scott Hall, someone who tangibly changed wrestling forever as well. Like, I was listening to an interview he had back in 2015, just yesterday, where he talked about one of the reasons he left WWF to begin with was just because he wanted certain things in his contract that WWF refused to give him, which is why he went to WCW, who also was not doing those things at the time, like the guaranteed money and such, that once Scott went over there, the WWF had to start changing things, because now all the talent was able to say, well, if you can't give me guaranteed, they can. And so then it's become the standard ever since. Like, he tangibly changed the pay structure and the benefits for wrestlers across the business forever. So, yeah, it's amazing. Amazing what he did, and amazing we got the chance as a fan base to tell him how much we loved him a few times. So, don't mean to harp on it. Do you want to catch us up on the chat real quick, Beard, and then we'll move on to birthdays?
Yeah, just Miss Fabtina said you would toxic Micah, and then she said debated. And you already read his tribute to Scott Hall. Grim Reaper says hello. Hey, Grim Reaper. Miss Fabtima says bleed purple. And then we got Grim Reaper saying rest in peace, Scott Hall. He was a legend. And
like a little emoji.
Yeah.
I see the emojis on my side, but yeah. Yeah, rest in peace to the bad guy. I loved the video package they put together for him that's been on all their shows.
Yeah, it was solid.
I mean, I did feel like they could have had a little more WCW in it. I was like, this is really razor heavy for a guy who's most notable for his Scott Hall run. But I loved it anyways. I loved it. It was so cool. And dude, I remember playing the shit out of Razor in all the Super Nintendo games that I would play. Like, he was my go-to.
WrestleMania the arcade where he pulled out that giant razor.
Yeah, he
Loved
cut
it.
people with it.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, so my dad mentioned to me, he's like, I don't think I remember that guy. And I was like, well, do you remember me as a kid? We'd leave a restaurant and I'd keep a toothpick in my mouth
Like your
until you guys
toothpick
would yell at
everywhere.
me. And then I would finally just flick it somewhere and you guys would get mad at me. And he goes, I remember that. And I was like, well, that's because of him. So
Yeah.
I used to constantly flick the toothpick at my mom. She gets so mad at me. And then one time I did it to her while she was driving. And it just so happened to hit her right in the eye. And she said I wasn't allowed to have toothpicks anymore from there on out. So, I mean, I understand it as an adult now, but at the time, I told her she could suck it. Yeah. So,
Too much. Well, cheers to Scott Hall.
yeah. Cheers.
Yeah.
See you down
I
the
love
road.
seeing all the stories people have been talking about too. I love hearing about how much of a mentor he was. So, yeah. Cheers.
Yeah, it sounded like he was a really great guy outside of the ring, you know.
Absolutely. Well, I can't find my list of birthdays, so I'll just have to do them tomorrow. You guys want to talk the shows? I don't think I have anything else news-wise. What's up?
I just said happy birthday to whoever.
Happy
you
birthday to
forgot.
somebody, probably.
Yeah.
Well, it is
It's
316 day, and we can celebrate that.
Mm,
You know,
good call. Good
Of
call.
course.
you know, I'll just throw this smoking skull belt over my shoulder. I love Pat McAfee. It is real, Pat. It is real.
Yeah. Dude, are you guys ready to talk about SmackDown? Because Pat McAfee had quite a showing on SmackDown.
Yeah. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Let's see. How did the show open? Oh, open Brock Lesnar coming out, talking mad shit about the Madison Square Garden stuff. I loved them showing the clips of it. Do you think it's possible we get McAfee, or not McAfee? Do you think that we're gonna at Brock Lesnar versus Roman? Do you think we're gonna get blood at Mania?
Yeah, we had blood at the Saturday thing, didn't they? Which I totally did not see that. They didn't air that, correct?
Correct. They didn't air it, which made me wonder. I mean, for one, if it was supposed to happen at all, and for two, if they were practicing to make it happen at Mania, because they have notably for years not intentionally used blood. Now, when blood happens, it happens. It's a physical contact, so it can happen. But do you think this might be one of the first times in a long time they're intentionally going to use blood? Kev?
I could see it. Like, you know, if you
I don't
actually think
care.
about it.
Who fucking cares?
Well, because it's a big conversation amongst the wrestling fan base, especially when you have a show like AEW that is considered the competition, where they're
No, I
constantly
know.
cutting themselves
I know,
on
but-
TV.
No,
I'm
I
not
know.
asking you if it's. I'm not asking you if they should or shouldn't. I'm asking first and foremost if like Kev thinks they're going to, and then maybe should they or shouldn't they? Will it bring that much drama to it? I don't know.
Well, see, I think to separate, I mean, they don't need to separate themselves, but
Yeah.
just to say, hey, our product's different, I think they wouldn't. But at the same time, when you have something like that and they, you know, all of a sudden there's blood involved, and if it's intentional, then it's, you know, it magnifies it tenfold.
Can. I mean,
Do you think it was intentional at that Madison
The
Square
Garden?
Garden event? Yeah.
I would say no, just because.
Yeah, Brock was a fighter. He's
It's-
got so much scar tissue built in his face. I'm surprised he doesn't get it every freaking, you know, like every
Yeah.
match. You know, that's why I say, you know, if he
I
beats
don't need
Roman,
it.
yeah, I don't know that it makes a difference in the match, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times the over the top stuff that we did see, like Mankind and Undertaker and all that stuff,
Yeah.
were great, but the matches were also incredible too. Like that stuff just added to the like craziness of it. But I almost feel like, you know, you see these guys like Razor Ramon, aka Scott Hall, when they're all old and stuff, and Terry Funk, and you're kind of like, you know what, man, I appreciate what you guys did, but I would have been okay with you taking a day off here or there and not taking it in the face, you know.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I just look at it like, I'm not saying it's barbaric, because you get it in regular fighting and it draws and stuff like that. But I think WWE could do it in, you know, I'm trying to think of exactly how I would word this, but just, it doesn't have to be like, you know, Stone Cold's whole head covered in blood, but you could do it and make it like sort of
like a little bit, like a little cut on the eye, like kind of what we got at Madison Square Garden. Brock kind of got it on the side of his eye, which just kind of had blood going on the side of it, and then he smeared it around because he's a badass and he's just gonna do that.
Right.
But yeah,
Mike.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Mike in the chat congratulated me on my TV appearance. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate it.
TV star.
I was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. So was my wife. Iron Sheik, birthday from Miss Fab Tina. Happy birthday, Iron Sheik. He's hilarious on Twitter. If you don't follow him, he's so funny. I don't know this person, but Keeps Fritz ref birthday. Do you know that?
Jared Fritz.
Jared
Fritz.
Fritz.
NWA referee.
Okay, sorry, Miss Fabtina. I see. Okay, and then the other two Mania matches they had, which isn't necessarily a trend, this is for Micah, that they will, but Lesnar matches seem to have blood in them more times than not, by my recollection. And I just said, I think my opinion is that because he has so much scar tissue. I mean, dude, he had his nose cut a few weeks back. You could see it. There's no way they could hide it. And, you know, his ears are because of all the collegiate wrestling and stuff that he's done where all that stuff is built up. You know, I just think he's one of those guys that's going to bleed a little bit, you know.
And he's also one of those guys who historically we've heard likes a more physical match. He'd rather the guys hit him a little bit than not. So I can see that too. But I guess where I'm kind of coming from, and Kev will probably be able to speak to this a little better because he saw it, was just sort of like what Mike is saying. Their other matches they had with Roman and Brock in Mania ended with some pretty bloody stuff on Roman's side. Roman got bloody and not Brock. I didn't think they were going to use blood in the match at all. I don't think they need to use blood in the match at all. But at the Madison Square Garden show, when they got blood, it made me wonder, is this them testing the waters on it? Or just trying to open up a little bit of a wound there so they got something to knock around in a couple months, you know, in a few weeks. What do you think, Kev?
I do remember I forget which Mania it was, but the one where Seth cashed in.
Yeah.
And, you know, Roman and Brock were laying it down. They were, you know, they were doing the slow-mo and, you know, they were punching each other.
Yeah.
You know, obviously wasn't, you know, full force, but, you know, they were strong styling it.
Yeah.
But, you know, the only thing I can think of would be a deterrent for them not to use blood on purpose would be for that, like, Sports Center mention or something on, like, ESPN where, you know, if Roman goes over Brock and, you know, they show Brock and he's all bloody, you know, maybe that gets what you want. But ESPN might sit there and say, okay, well, we're not going to show it because it's too gruesome.
Yeah, but I mean, they have the UFC on ESPN now, Kev. So I would say, yeah, but I don't know that that's the thing stopping. Micah says real quick in the chat, he says, has Roman as the tribal chief character bled? ? Because that makes me want to see him in that sort of trouble. And yeah, because really, Micah is actually kind of spot on. Roman is just kind of mowing through people, right? Or he's getting help from the Usos. And I don't know, where are you guys at with him winning at WrestleMania?
Brock?
No, Roman. Who do you
Well,
think
let me circle back. Let me answer that question right after I say one more thing on to Kev's point. The reason that ESPN may not show a bloodied wrestler versus a UFC fighter is because of the consistent belief that the wrestlers, because it's, quote, not real, are cutting themselves purposefully with a razor blade to get the blood. And that could be something they don't want to be associated with directly, which has been a problem in the past, which is why if they get it now, it's on accident. They don't have as much of a problem.
Yeah. They're not
but-
doing the razor blade cuts anymore. That's like
Exactly.
from the 80s, right? Or 90s.
Yes. Well, and then with a show like AEW where they're bleeding every week and you can see them with the razor blade cutting because they're not doing good camera work, it creates that kind of conversation as well of amongst even those fans of, is it necessary as often as it's happening? And that's why I mean, like, should they or shouldn't they? I kind of agree with Kev. I don't think the match needs it, but I also agree with Micah. It'd be really nice to see Roman in such a situation where you say, oh, he's fucked. And it'd be really nice to see him get Brock to that situation too. Like, this could be one where if they're both bleeding by the end of it, you're just thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? You know what I mean? I as far as Roman potentially winning, I think I'm okay with that. I don't think I have a big issue with it because I think they're trying to solidify Roman as the number one dude of all time. I don't know. Kev, what do you think?
I don't know. I go back and forth because I'm really digging this version of Brock a lot.
Yes.
And I don't want it to go anywhere. So if that means, him getting over on Roman, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I agree with Kev. Miss Faptina says, I blame CM Punk real quick.
That's funny.
Go ahead and finish your thought, Kev. Sorry.
it's always CM Punk's fault.
Yeah.
Always.
She said just kidding, but go ahead.
But yeah, like I said, this version of Brock I love. I want to see more of it. I don't want it to go. But, Roman's such a badass. He unifies the title. Then what? He's gone over the entire roster.
But I think it does. Well, because
I have a quick question before you answer.
Go ahead.
What the fuck do you do with him if he beats Brock? He literally has faced zero adversity, or anytime he does, the fucking Usos come in and bail him out. I don't know how you could even remotely say he's the greatest wrestler, because since I've been back, okay, I'm only can go back with I guess now we're coming up on a year or whatever, but like I just haven't seen him in any sort of like. There's not anything that I've been like, yeah, he's not going to get over. It's not even interesting to me, to be honest. Like, the Roman thing is the last thing I give a shit about. I'm the most, what I'm the most excited about for WrestleMania, but I don't want to get away from the Roman talk. I'm just saying and again, I'm not trying to be negative. I don't care about Roman at all. And I don't think he's top 10 in my opinion, but whatever, his matches aren't the most exciting to me. I know he's going to win. It's not a surprise. He hasn't even been remote. Has he gotten a 2? Has he gotten a 2 in a while? I can't even remember that. For me, I don't know. And I can't be alone in this. I think there's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people that are like done with it. And they're like, all right.
I'm sick of the Usos. I'm sick of him. It's time for like, let's push the Alpha Academy. Let's put, I was happy that RK Bro won the title back just because I love that storyline. It's freaking great, But again, I don't want to get away from Roman. Go ahead, Marsh. I probably committed sacrilege or something by talking shit.
I mean, I don't agree with you, but I don't think that's a problem. I agree with you that there is a fan base that isn't all that interested or exciting. I think I'm compelled by especially the entire journey we've seen of Roman to get to where he's at now. I love the grand delusion that he has all the time about being the everything about it. My concern about if he were to lose to Brock at Mania is Brock is a 2002 layover. He's a 20-year-old guy in the business. We need to move the industry forward. And I think that by also making, half the fan base, let's just call it 50-50 because it's the two perspectives we're giving. I don't know if there's but let's say half of them are bored of Roman and half of them are compelled by this Roman story on what's going to happen. I think both of those mindsets converge at the same moment of who's going to be the one to take him down. You know what I mean? Like, once there's someone in place who could take out Roman and move through him, I think that's when both sides are going to agree that that coming up match, whatever it will be, Brock or otherwise, is going to be the one to watch. You know what I mean? Whether you're tired of him or not.
Miss Faptina says his family storyline is the best. And then Justin chimes in and he says, everything from day one till now has killed any interest in Brock and Roman. And I can't say I disagree. I mean, I just, and there is something to that, like Roman getting COVID kind of took us. I think let me ask you this hypothetical now, do you guys think if we would have got Brock and Roman at day one, we would have had them for WrestleMania?
Yeah.
No. I don't think so.
What do you
And Miss
think,
Fabtina says the use of Heyman is always exciting to me. And I agree. The Paul Heyman stuff is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the only thing, though. Like, that's the only thing that's like, oh, did Paul betray Roman? Oh, no, he betrayed Brock. I mean, I almost feel like they've sort of, like, changed their mind about that a couple of times. I don't know.
Plus that, I didn't realize how nimble that chubby bastard was. That was impressive.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't want to say it's total crap. I'm not trying to shit on like what the top thing. I just like, for me as a fan of it's this, I don't like, if you said you could miss a match and watch it later and not see it live, that's the one I'm like, I mean, there's some other ones on there, I'm sure, like, but I'm like, the other stuff just feels like there's some other stuff that feels fresher. I mean, dude, yeah, I don't want to take this show off the rails. So,
but that's exactly what I was going to say. Is like a lot of it to a lot of fans, and I can see where they're coming from, is kind of stale from Roman. That's why, like, when he came out with that needle mover shirt, I was like, okay, this would have been cool at the beginning of it, but now I can see where it's like, no, like, you're not moving the needle as much as you were.
Yeah.
And like I said, I can see where it's stale to people. I'm interested in it, but I think, I do think it's, I don't know. It's interesting to see which way they're going to go with it. And then, because, if you have Brock go over Roman, we've had that in the past. And that's why I think this time it's probably going to be Roman over Brock.
Sure.
But, then where do you go? Is this,
Yeah.
do you bring in the Cody? If that's the move or whatever? Or,
is it going to
like
be Veer? Is it going to be Veer? Because boy, they're so I recently got addicted to Reddit, and I just read somebody goes, I'm 99% sure Veer will be released before he debuts. I was like, oh my god, that is hilarious. No, but like, what's believable? What's believable? And We the Ones and the Bloodline, it's just old. It's stale. Like, you can only, and if you don't face, and like, okay, so like they did the just like off topic of Roman, but the Usos, the whole Bloodline thing, like they attacked Shinsuke and Boogs, which I actually thought, okay, cool, they're gonna make Shinsuke and Boogs a tag team, and I am for this. Yeah. I don't know if you saw the like Toyota commercials with Shinsuke and Boogs. I'm like, these are awesome. Like, these are awesome commercials, and I love that team, and I'm excited to see them. To me, I'm more excited about Becky and Bianca, like, than I am about Brock and Roman, because I feel like Roman's going to win, and then, whatever. But, there'll be some big thing that happens or whatever. So, Miss Fabtina says, thank you for the gift and subscription just in time. Sorry, I didn't know that was not related to our thing there. So.
I think the part of it's the problem of Brock Lesnar. And I say that in a nice way, in that with Brock Lesnar, he's so big and such an important part and such a dominant person that if he's not on the top of the card, it doesn't make sense. And if you've got the most dominant champion you've had in years in Roman, it's got to be them. Otherwise, we get no Brock at all. Like, we're not going to see Brock against fucking Ricochet for the IC title. Like, it's not happening. And I don't see anyone else even near that area of scratching the surface of dominant and important the way that Roman and Brock both are. Like, Drew McIntyre's really not. Baron Corbin's not ready. And
hold on.
They all could be.
Well,
but they're not.
But Marsh, that's because they haven't built the stories for anybody else. It's just been Roman forever, and that's fine. But you're going to live and die on that Roman sword. And if people are like, okay, we're done with it, you're going to lose fans. Like, if you don't have anything good.
Right now, yes. But what I'm saying is that with Brock Lesnar, even specifically, we had Brock and Seth, we had Brock and Drew. None of them felt as big or as important or anything more than just the next step in line as Roman and Brock, seeming like, oh, is this the Clash of Titans? I'm saying we've had Brock against other top guys, and it's never quite clicked that same way of feeling big and important. You know what I mean? And that's what I'm saying. If guys that big, if guys like a Drew and a Seth, as good as they are, didn't feel as important as a Roman against a Brock, like there's an issue there. Like, who is going to be ready and poised to take out Roman? And whoever is going to be a massive moment when they do.
Well, I'll just say this. I don't care what anybody says. Roman is not half the fucking draw Brock Lesnar is. Brock Lesnar is the needle mover. He's the real mover. That's the guy that everybody knows. If you don't know wrestling, you know Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is the modern age, like Andre the Giant type guy. He's that transcendent because he did UFC and he's been in the WWE for a very long time too. You know, he was a collegiate. I mean, he's just the guy. And I'm not shitting on Roman, like Roman sucks. You can't compare to Brock. He just is not the more popular guy. There's just no way. You know, I mean, you could tell from the fan reaction because Roman has his fans, like 3/4 of the, you said 50-50. It's probably 60-40, 70-30 Roman fans, like on the high end. If, you're a diehard fan of wrestling, I don't see where this goes. If Roman dominates at WrestleMania, even if it's our controversial end or whatever, we're going to run Brock and Roman for another year, which, okay, I'm fine with if we get that version of Brock we've been getting. The fun, but now he's like, yo, I'm out for blood because of what happened at MSG and stuff. So, and then what do you do with both titles and stuff? And, kind of not related, but sort of related, you're talking about what are they going to do? Like, dude, who's Seth Rollins going to go up against? Is he even going to be at WrestleMania? What a travesty would it be if he isn't there? I mean, I know they're building that story, but like, it just feels like
that's just literally the story. Like, we have to see how that goes. Like, that's just it. That is the story of Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
He's hell bent on getting to WrestleMania, and everyone thinks he belongs there. But at the end of the day, he doesn't have a story that gets him there, and it's not just about getting a match on the kickoff show and just challenging any random Yahoo. It's about being a prominent position. So it is the story of Seth. But we'll get to that in just a second. My thing is that if Brock wins, I think that you have to continue Brock and Roman. And I think if Roman wins, I don't think you do. And I think you can start to open up the floor to potentially making someone who could take that title off of Roman. I just don't know what that looks like. That's why I think that Brock has to lose, because otherwise it's definitely going to keep going.
Well, but but like you said, though, where's a viable guy? You think Cody Rhodes would be the guy if they bring him in to go up against Roman if he beats Brock? I just don't see who could.
No, I don't think so, because we saw it with WCW where if Cody goes over there and they immediately put him against Roman, Roman's just going to smash him.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Be like, hey, we're better than you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but we don't even know that Cody Rhodes is going to the WWE, by the way. So like
no, we don't.
Yeah, so like that's a what fantasy booking, like Bishop says. I just feel like they're in trouble with the Roman storyline. If he doesn't beat Brock, let's say it's a controversial finish or something, you could run it a couple more months and then conclude it like you've said, Marsh. But I just don't. I don't know, man. Like I feel like they're teetering on the brink of just like Roman's like a demigod and he can't be beaten. And what are you gonna do? Is he just gonna take a break, or I don't know.
Kev, what do you think? Because what I think about is interesting with the fantasy booking concept when it comes to Roman is he is such a big star in the industry that you almost have to start pulling from other promotions to think of somebody who might be on a high level that could. So the idea of like someone believing in a Cody or not being able to is an interesting conversation, whether or not it happens or not or anything like this.
Miss Fabtina says, bring up Gunter. And then Micah Pellegrini says, no joke, I'd be upset if Cody was the one to dethrone Roman.
That's fine.
I understand that. And then Miss Fabtina says, I'd pay to see Brock and Gunter. I don't know who Gunter is. Is he an indie guy or?
No, he's in NXT right now. He's a dude from Germany. He's badass and brutal.
Okay.
Like, I think they would have a great.
Is he the champion?
He is not. He just got over there. He was in NXT UK for a while. He was the longest reigning
Dolph's
UK
the
champion for a long
right?
time. Dolph Ziggler's the champion for NXT.
Yeah.
Right now,
Yeah. That's right. Sorry, Kev. I saw.
Kev, who
that.
do you think they could poise to take the title off Roman? And then we'll move
Um.
The Undertaker.
Well, there's like I'm looking like I have Funkos up on my shelf over here, and in the industry right now, I really don't see anyone.
on.
But I keep looking at these figures, and the only two I keep going back to would be either The Rock or Cena.
Yeah.
And because if Cena beats him, finally, hey, he dethroned the champ. Plus, that'd be 17, which would be fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Sweet,
Yeah.
And then The Rock with the whole bloodline thing. Well, hey, this was my bloodline first, type of thing. Like, you could do a lot with that.
I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't be shocked if in a year's time it turns out it's Baron or Drew McIntyre who take the title off Roman. I honestly wouldn't be shocked. Both of them historically in storyline have beaten Roman. Finn Balor beat Roman clean. Bobby Lashley hasn't.
I would take Finn Balor. I would take the Demon again.
Balor, I was
love that
looking at
storyline.
Balor too.
if you want to just go on the roster, we can eliminate The Rock and John Cena because they're becoming megastars outside of the ring. And you know what? Honestly, those would be awesome, Kev. Don't get me wrong, and I could see both those guys coming back. But if you're gonna go on the roster, Finn Balor as the Demon, like that was cool. That was probably my favorite thing I've seen since I've been back as far as Roman Reigns is concerned. So that would be cool.
And to go into your story of like, has Roman gotten to the point where it ever felt like a 2 count or 2.5 or anything like that? Balor Demon did get him there, and the only reason that Roman won that match was the quote act of God. So theoretically, Demon was poised to win Roman on that one. I do think though, my gut tells me it's going to be probably Drew McIntyre on the other side of it.
I do too, and I don't want to see it though.
I would be 100% okay with that because you guys know I love Drew McIntyre, but
McIntyre.
I can tell you that the Demon looks really badass on the new game. I bought the new game.
Oh, that's sick.
It's
Well, the Demon looks
fucking
badass
cool.
in any game.
He looks so cool. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah. I got to play it on easy because I don't know the moves, but it's still really fun.
I don't like playing video games on super difficult because I just want to have fun and not focus.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah,
And half
I
the
just wanna
time
have
you're
fun.
drunk or high or something anyway. when you're playing
Yeah,
it.
so it's fun. Like, let me win
And then
a couple
it's- yeah.
matches.
I think it's
Especially the
frustrating when they
storyline
keep
ones.
kicking out. And
Yeah, and the storyline ones, like the last one where it was the 4 Horsewomen storyline, and I was like, this is fucking awesome. I was going through it. ran through it on easy because I loved the stories. I loved the video packages put together between the matches and stuff. And I was like, if this was on super difficult and I'm sitting here for hours just trying to fucking watch this story play through, I'll be like, fuck!
Yeah, you
I
take
wanted
the
to have a good
enjoyment.
time!
Yeah, you took the enjoyment out. I'm with you 100%, Ref Marsh. I'm with you. Why take something that's supposed to be fun and enjoyable and make it not fun and not enjoyable?
Yeah, make it impossible. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah,
no
for
way.
sure.
I just don't buy into that. And at the same time, I loved the game with all the fucking glitches just because it was funny. I'm playing a game and funny, stupid things happen. And
The
as
new
long as you
one-
don't take it serious, it's fine.
The
You just
new,
laugh at
the
it.
new, well, I get it if somebody pays $60 for a game, you want it to be good. And I have no problem with critics of the last game. I did not buy the last game. I didn't have it or anything. This game looks incredible. And it's got a lot of, now, I know Paige was upset she wasn't in it. There was a couple wrestlers I was looking for. I was bummed out. I couldn't find that are active wrestlers. I was like, oh, but I think they're new back to the roster. But they do, hey, Kev, they do have Brock Lesnar with the ponytail and everything. So that was cool. I thought
And
that
there's-
was,
Goro Brock.
I
there's a-
F5 the shit out of some dudes with Brock Lesnar.
They also have a lot of downloadable content coming in packages as well. So
Well, so there's people can make their own. So I downloaded I think one of the wrestlers, I should have wrote it down. I'm sorry. One of the guys that I wanted to see in the game. But
yeah, but some of them come down in packages later.
yeah,
Like
they'll
Mug is
have
gonna be- yeah.
yeah, I think they'll have some new releases and stuff like that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, they haven't announced any of that stuff though, Ref Marsh, because the game
Some of
just
them.
came out.
They announced like 40 or 50 of what will be downloadable content. They had guys like Umaga, LA Knight. I don't remember some of the other ones, but I was excited about those two personally. But there's a list of what will be some of the packs coming out. Like Rob Van Dam is going to be in there. It'd be worth
Oh,
looking
nice.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah, I paid for the big one, so I think I should get all those for free.
Yeah. But all right, moving on. From the Brock Lesnar Roman thing, although I really did enjoy Brock and Paul Heyman doing their shtick, we did end up after that with Sheamus and Ridge Holland announcing their friend, who we know from a different name, but they know him by his nickname, Butch, and up comes the former Pete Dunne as Butch, looking like a goddamn Peaky Blinder, being paired with Sheamus and Ridge Holland in an incredible new triple team. Kev, I think you've been saying you wanted that for a while.
You said you wanted Drew McIntyre in charge of the whole thing, didn't you? You thought it would be awesome.
Well, I said throw Drew in there, but also throw a couple other guys, and I think I remember throwing out Pete Dunne's name. So
yeah.
So,
now that he's there, I'm like,
so I saw a lot of backlash about him being called Butch.
Yeah.
I found the list, by the way, if you're interested to know, and I have the release dates for all that of when these people come out.
I'm not terribly interested.
Okay, no worries.
But yeah, so
Drop it in the
to your
chat.
comment, with the Butch thing, Kev, did you have an issue with him being called Butch?
I mean, I did and I didn't. Like, if they would have said, "Hey, this is our, this is Pete Dunne, but we call him Butch. We've known each other for a long time. That's what we've called him." Fine, but just to be like, "Oh, here's Butch," and it's like, what the fuck? We know him as Pete Dunne. We've seen him in NXT.
Royal Rumble.
He even came. I was gonna say he came out in the Royal Rumble, and like, yeah, I just don't understand. Like, I'm glad McAfee said that. Like, they know him by his nickname, but we know him by a different name. But
Sheamus said that. Sheamus said that before. He goes, "You guys know him as a different name, but we know him by his nickname because we've known him for so long. It's our buddy Butch." And then he came on screen.
Yeah. Miss Fabtina
Okay.
says the IWC always bitches about name changes. It's just going to take some time. I didn't care because I didn't know him from Adam. Like, I didn't, because you guys know I don't watch NXT or very little NXT. I know that Ziggler won the thing, but like, yeah. So anyway, that was a little bit.
But yeah, like I said, I see where people come from, and like, because he was an established star in NXT.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I didn't, like, I had kind of an issue with it.
Where does the issue stem from?
What's
Well,
that?
I think Ref Marsh, my thing is, it's not like NXT is a separate thing from WWE. It's under the umbrella of WWE. So I think fans, just from a fan standpoint, it would feel a little bit confusing if you have this guy performing under your umbrella and then you bring, now if it's a different promotion, 100% I understand, right? Totally get it. But I think I'm with Kev on this one, even though I don't have it, I don't care. But like, I just am saying it makes sense to me that, WWE fans would be like, why did you change his name? Maybe I'm going to go out on a limb based on Vince's interview with Pat saying, they probably did like market research and said, let's call him this. And that was why they decided.
Kev, do you think it's insult? Like, 'cause the only term I heard people saying argumentatively was that it insulted their intelligence, like we wouldn't know who Pete Dunne was. But I didn't feel that way for 1 second.
I mean, I don't think it insults your intelligence. Like, I think if they I think it would have been better if they just flat out said Pete Dunne, but we call him Butch.
Like, actually say
Instead
the name
of-
first.
Yeah, instead of kind of tiptoeing around it. Because even like Riddle, he was, obviously Matt Riddle. Now he's just Riddle.
Yeah.
Bobby Roode. Now he's Robert Roode.
But that's not really a name change. It's like a name modification. The only thing I can think of The only thing I can think of is Pete Dunne is like a name. It could have been a legal thing where somebody named Pete Dunne was like, they might have had some legal issues with, and it probably wasn't a big deal on NXT, but when you bring this guy up to like WWE, that's the only thing, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that's like a name. So, you know, if let's say the guy's name was Dwayne Johnson or something, they're like not going to bring, you know, I don't know. Maybe there was they got some legal stuff and they were just like, let's just call him Butch. Everybody calls him that anyway.
You know what's weird is like I see it in the chat a little bit. I don't think we need a real thing, but Justin Time's speculating it has to do with removing traces of black and gold. Fabtina says she doesn't think of him as NXT; she thinks of NXT UK, and I understand that concept, but I feel like if you want to even just look at the Pete Dunne character arc of NXT, he was super dominant in NXT UK, did a whole bunch of shit in NXT UK, came over to NXT, and as much as I didn't want to argue with Kev calling him a star on NXT, he also lost almost all of his matches on NXT and never really got his footing. And then when Disappear, he got teamed up with Matt Riddle for a bit, and then because of COVID, he got split. And it's like, I don't know that there was so much gravitas to the Pete Dunne name that it's like Pete Dunne or bust. And I think of Butch as, like they said, a nickname. I'm that asshole when I work with you that I'll probably give you a nickname and stop calling you by your name within 3 months. For me, it's like...
And like I could, you know, I can understand the nickname, but like I said, instead of just like tiptoeing around it, just said, I would just say, you know, even if they just used his last name, like, hey, you know him as Dunn, or even just Pete.
Oh,
so a lot of you know him as Pete, but we call him Butch.
Yeah,
you know.
Speaking of that match, Miss Fabtina says, but she says, I don't think I even. Oh, you said that. She said, but the Big E bump was hard to watch. Yes, it was, Miss Fabtina. I feel bad for Holland. He must feel bad. I don't think he should wrestle again, was my opinion. That's why producer lady hated watching him on NXT. And I don't know if producer lady is coming in. She can attest to that. And then she says him losing all the time was nuts. That is odd, Ref Marsh, that you said that, because I didn't know that background, that Pete Dunne, a.k.a. Butch, lost all his matches in NXT, and then they bring him up anyway. That doesn't feel like a guy that's poised to come up.
Yeah.
You know, the heel has to get over a little bit, right? I mean... Yeah. That feels like maybe a bad pull.
Before producer lady started to really like Pete Dunne, she used to walk away from Pete Dunne matches and said, oh, here comes that jobber from the UK again. I was like, he's not a jobber. He's really good. She goes, if he was good, he would win. And then she would, like, go and do stuff. And I was all like, I couldn't argue because he lost every single match. And so... eventually he won a few, and she started to like him. But,
well, didn't he become NXT champion?
Nope.
So we got a Sierra Alligator says maybe this exact conversation is the point, and you might be right, Sierra Alligator. I hope I said your name right. And then Miss Fabdita said he's a badass though. Yeah, I don't have a negative or positive opinion on Butch, aka Pete Dunne. I did like your idea, Kev, when you brought it up a while ago about McIntyre running like that stable of, you know, Sheamus and Holland and stuff. That was before he came up. Maybe get like a 4 horseman thing there too. Ref Marsh, I don't know. You think he's great in the ring, and usually I think you are really spot on a lot of that stuff. Usually when you tell me a guy is good in the ring, I spend extra attention paying attention to him. And I usually just agree with you like wholeheartedly. So I'm going to give the guy a chance. I didn't give a shit about his name. So
did you think it was
but it's because you didn't know him.
Yeah, but at the same time, that's a super important perspective, because realistically, while Pete Dunne was on NXT, about 500,000 people were watching, where on SmackDown you have over 2.1 million watching every week. So that means you have less than a fourth of the audience. So if 3/4 of the audience didn't care about the name change, why should you? But at the same time, did you think the name Butch in and of itself, stand alone, Beard, did you think it was a stupid name? Was it like calling him Farty McFartpants?
No, I don't think it was that terrible. I don't think it's a great name, but like whatever. I don't know.
Right. Because that was the argument I saw a lot of people make, is that it was a horrible name to give anybody, regardless of any of that stuff. And I was like, I disagree. I think Butch is totally fine.
Yeah, it just reminds me of the Bushwhackers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they haven't used it. They haven't used it in such a long time, though. I didn't have a problem with the name. Like, I don't care about the name. The name's not terrible. It's not the worst name. Is it the worst name we've seen in the WWE? Not remotely, right? Yeah, not remotely. Right?
And also, at the end of the day, if Dewdrop can get over and be seen as a superstar with a name like Dewdrop, I don't think a name fucking is the argument. You know what I mean?
But well, exactly. And the other thing is a lot of times when, you know, in professional sports, you have these rookies come in, which basically Butch is a rookie. You give him a stupid nickname.
Yeah, why not? Spud, Spunk.
You know, yeah.
Skeet.
Yeah, so you give him a stupid nickname. No one was Skeet.
Yeah.
Well, you know, Ref Marsh brought it up about, I forgot that X-Pac was the 1, 2, 3 kid.
Yeah.
You know?
And
honestly, but honestly though, like, he was also one of the first, like, undersized, like, incredible wrestlers I remember seeing in the WWF at the time, WWF. And like, does that tarnish his legacy at all? I mean, really? I actually, now it's kind of looking back, it's like, oh yeah, he was the 1, 2, 3 kid, you know? Maybe we look back on this and this guy is like, you know.
Yeah, 100%. It doesn't mean it's his name for life. It's not going to be on his goddamn gravestone. And at the end of the day, like,
Vince called me Butch once.
So Sean Waltman has said on the record he hated that name. He fucking hated it. And he goes, because it wasn't really cool to be at a bar talking to a girl and they say, oh, you're a wrestler, what's your name? And he goes, they call me Kid. He goes, it doesn't sound that great.
Well, speaking of terrible names, look at what Steve Austin went through. Look at what The Undertaker went through before they found the fucking characters that made them, like, legendary. So,
but that was also once again, like you said, different promotion.
Well, no, Steve Austin was the ringmaster in WWF.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with Steve Austin being the ringmaster, and they're like, what is he, Stone Cold now? I'm supposed to just forget he's the ringmaster because I'm an idiot? No, it's because he went through an evolution as a character, and that can happen again. Mankind is a terrible name to give a character.
But so,
Goldust is a terrible name. I'm saying that people can make it work if they're good at what they do, and I think the man Pete Dunne is going to have nothing hold him back by being named Butch.
I don't hate Mankind. I love that character. I
love that. We all love the character. The name was stupid, and at the same time, all of the dirt sheets at the time were talking about how horrible it was to give Cactus Jack a terrible name like Mankind, because they all knew him from where he was before.
Well, but like, I liked the fact that, like, everybody knew Mick Foley, like, so he played 3 wrestlers. He played Dude Love, he played Cactus Jack, and he played Mankind. And now we all know why. He just needed a break from that horrible ass Mankind mask he had to wear, which he hated, right? He said he hated the mask.
Oh yeah.
But like, I mean, I did not hate that name. I did not hate Mankind. I thought it fit the character great.
Sure.
I didn't think it was a stupid name.
But a lot of the smart fucking fans did, is what I'm saying.
Oh,
so all I'm saying is all these smart fans are at it again.
Marsh called me
forgot
stupid.
to use air
Just fucking
quotes.
call me stupid on air.
You forgot to use air quotes when you said smart fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm
But,
saying I did use air quotes actually with smart fans, but that's what I'm saying is
Oh,
we're
did
just
you?
regular real fans, and all these super smarter than their own good fans are the ones who hate shit and don't allow themselves to even enjoy a product when something as silly as we're going to call this guy by a nickname now, and they go, well, that ruins it all for me. And I was like, well, then fucking leave.
Well, you know what, though, Marsh? I 100% agree with you, because I think what happens is people get so bent out of shape about shit that doesn't matter. This is life in general, but Butch is a terrible name, and then they forget about the in-ring performance. That being said, that fucking match will always be known as the match where E got his neck broke. So,
Yeah,
like,
Kev, go ahead and finish your statement, and then tell me what you thought about that bump when you saw it.
First I pulled out my Googler and I looked up Pete Dunne. And his name is actually Peter England. I think they should have just used England instead of Butch.
People would say they did it because he's foreign, and they would have shit on it.
But it would have been hilarious.
Why don't you just give him a Union Jack for a shirt?
Exactly.
They should.
They would have been pissed about anything. I can't
would've
believe they
hated
changed.
it.
Yeah. What if he came up as Pete Dunne?
Here's
What
the
would
other
they
deal.
have-
Actually, I mean, just as a real quick side note, I just realized and found out that Toni Storm's real name is not Toni Storm. They actually let her keep her stage name from the Indies because of the the gravitas it had on the indies, which I thought was wild because typically.
Well, she might have owned it too. She might have owned the name too.
Which just makes it even more surprising that they would keep it when she has an actual different name. So, but Kev, let's get on to the match. I don't want us to be here too late today, and I think we've had a lot of really good conversation. We're not going to hit everything, but Big E takes a hell of a bump on his fucking neck. Fractures. The videos came out. He fractured 2 discs. Nothing was displaced. No surgery needed. But Big E did indeed suffer from a broken neck at the hands of Ridge Holland. And I've seen a lot of criticism towards Ridge. I know even when I saw it, my thought and gut instinct was that Ridge fucked up that move. At the end of the day, we're not really experts. But Kev, tell me what you think.
See, because I watched it late and I heard about it. And then I saw like clips of the bump, and then I, watched the match and stuff like that. But when I looked at it, like, I don't know if it's Ridge's fault. Like normally when somebody does a suplex like that, like the guy getting suplex, jumps and leans into it. And to me, it didn't seem like Big E. I know, like it looked like Ridge picked him up first.
He short tossed him.
Kind of went,
He short tossed him, Kev. He short tossed
but
that, and it didn't look like he got beneath him. It looked like he got like around the chest. And I think for a belly to belly, especially on someone who's so thick like a Big E, I think you got to get below his chest. But I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But like I said, that was just my initial reaction. Like I didn't, I'm not a professional wrestler by any means. Like I don't know how you're supposed to do it, but that was my initial reaction. It sucks. I think, obviously wish Big E a speedy recovery, and at least he could, has a ATV to drive around in.
Well, he came on Twitter and let us know that it's not as serious as we all thought it would be. When I saw it live, I thought his fucking career was over. I was like, oh my God. Big E is 5'11", 285. I think if you're going to make that toss, you better be damn sure you can do it.
I think that too. I do think it's like these are some of these moves. If you can't knock it out 10 out of 10 times, then you don't have any business trying it once.
100% Ref Marsh, and we didn't even need it there. He could have done a table thing or something. We just didn't need it there. You know what I'm saying? Could have been
clothesline. Could have been fine.
I
think if there's any hesitancy whatsoever, then you don't do it. But I don't know. I don't know if he just thought his sheer power would get him there, just because both those dudes are so powerful. But like Taz said online, it's not about power or strength; it's about technique, and technique alone. It was scary. As soon as he hit, I saw it and went, "Oh fuck!" And then the way he laid there, I was like, "Oh shit, this is bad." Whether or not his career is over is honestly still up in the air. Just because he doesn't need surgery and because there wasn't displacement doesn't mean that the neck is going to heal up fine. I read somewhere that the specific discs that he fractured, one of those 2 discs, according to whoever that person was, whether they're an expert or not, I would assume they would be to say something like it, but one of the discs is one that notoriously heals almost sporadically. Like sometimes it heals great, sometimes it doesn't, so it's really a wait and see kind of a deal. So I don't know, it could be that if, and hopefully not, if that was the last match of Big E, I do think that if nothing else, it's amazing he got his world title run. He had his moment. I love that the fans and all of his friends spoke out like crazy about how much they loved him when the injury happened to begin with. But at the end of the day, I definitely hope he's back, and I definitely hope he does something more. And I'll be honest, a character, and I don't mean it in like a demeaning character way, but like the character of a guy like Big E, as a man and as a performer and as an entertainer, if he can't wrestle anymore, I hope to God they put him in some sort of GM style role, because that kind of dude deserves to continue in the business and in the industry, and has the charisma and chops to be able to pull off a role like a GM, I think.
Did you see his Twitter post where he did videos from the hospital?
Yeah.
It feels like he's gonna make a full recovery.
Full recovery and able to wrestle are different. But I hear you. I think there's a good there. I mean, I think it's a wait and see.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it hurt Stone Cold's career when Owen Hart dropped him on his noggin.
Yeah. Yeah, in the chat, Sierra says straight on his noggin, or straight on his noggin with periods. Like, yeah, 100%. Yeah. It was rough. And you know what's crazy? I mean, I made the joke just because that's how it is. Be a little lighthearted about it, but I was like, I'm waiting for Kurt Angle and Madcap Mass to start tweeting pussy or something. Like, come on, man, you can't take a broken neck and keep going. Like,
yeah, Justin Time said the guy was supposedly a former WWE medical staff, I believe it said. And then Sierra Alligator said, looked like a compression injury for sure versus a whiplash. So hope for the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you think about those two, like, I mean, because you think about broken necks, and yeah, like you said, it put a huge halt on Stone Cold. It straight up stopped Edge. But you look at guys like fucking Kurt Angle who win a fucking gold medal and then go on to have an entire career. And then you look at Madcap, who has a similar bump, but somehow just pops back up because he's made of rubber in some way. And it's just scary, man. It's just fucking scary.
Yeah, Madcap's was bad. Yeah, Madcap's was not great, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was not good either.
Yeah, I wonder if we never see a belly to belly by Ridge again. Go ahead, Kev.
Speaking of stupid names, did everyone cry about Madcap?
I actually saw a lot of people hating on that name too, but I didn't hate that name either. I mean, I didn't know who the hell that guy was either. So, was he an NXT guy too?
He was in NXT, and he was on the. He's gone through like 3 or 4 name changes. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he's
Riddick Moss, Riddy Mo.
He's a good wrestler too, man. Like, you know, it's unfortunate that he needs Baron Corbin or Happy Corbin to carry him around right now. I hope he can kind of get on his own, and I'm excited to see what he can do because he's kind of seems like he's probably super nice too. He seems like a really good he's a good wrestler, man.
I think he's learning a lot from Corbin. I know as much people want to shit on Corbin, from what I've heard about Corbin from people in the industry, he's one of those dudes who like gets it on that Randy Orton level. Actually, Randy Orton put him over at one point where they said, "Who's some of your favorite guys there?" And he goes, "Baron Corbin gets it."
I like Corbin. I don't know how you don't like Corbin. Yeah, Corbin's awesome.
Oh yeah.
And so, McAfee and him, I think, roommated when they played NFL together. But McAfee is always like shitting on Corbin, and that's great too. Like they. Like, you know, in real life, you know, they're buddies, but it's like, it's awesome, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel the same. Yeah. He's good.
But yeah, speedy recovery to Big E, and we hope he comes back. And if not in ring, at the very least, some sort of on-air character like a GM, I think would be fine. Anything else there? You guys ready to move on a little bit?
Yeah. I mean,
what about Samoa Joe and Roman randomly?
What?
So what about Samoa Joe taking down Roman?
Oh, yeah, that'd be good. Bring him back and take down Roman. Actually, I believe it.
Yeah.
I would believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, it just popped in my head. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, no worries.
Let's see. So there's only a couple other things in SmackDown. We'll talk about Raw, but one of the lesser things, the Sami Zayn Ricochet thing going on. Dude, Ricochet and Sami Zayn's chemistry in the ring is fucking incredible.
That was such an awesome match, dude. That was such a great match.
I can't believe how good their matches are.
They're
two of my favorite dudes in ring right now, and still somehow I didn't believe it was going to be as good as it turned out. It was insane.
I thought that was the match of the night. Like, that was so good.
Sure. Oh yeah.
You always said it would be your wet dream.
Oh yeah. No, I've been saying for a long time, full on hard on for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know you love Sami Zayn, and I actually spend a lot more time paying attention to him. This whole like Knoxville thing is incredible. That Ricochet thing, and you know what? Honestly, fucking brilliant by the WWE, because you can't have Sami Zayn wrestle Knoxville and Knoxville get over on Sami Zayn if he's the title holder, because after WrestleMania, we're probably not going to see Knoxville, right? So yeah. I love that
he's gonna
still get the story, but we don't have to worry about the title. I'm still not less excited about that match. I thought that was awesome. Like, they're doing everything right with Sami Zayn right now. Yeah. That shit I want to see more of. Like I said, I told you guys I could care less about what's going on with Roman. That stuff, dude. Sami Zayn is awesome, and Ref Marsh, I got to give you 100% credit because you've told me from day one, hey, give this guy a chance. He's really good. And I'm like, yeah, this guy is not only a great wrestler, but he is really like everything else. Like he's good on the mic. The phone number thing, I mean, I hope that wasn't real. I hope that was, did you call? I wanted to ask you if you called.
I sent it a text just to fuck around, but he's been answering FaceTimes from it. If you guys want what we're talking about, I'll see if he'll answer a FaceTime right now.
Yeah, you should totally call.
Let's see.
Oh my God. We didn't change his number? Oh my
do a
God.
FaceTime video
You should
and see
fix
if
your
it
hair
comes
though,
through.
because you look like a fucking weirdo with the hair.
That's a good point.
Hey, I'm a referee, and we think you're great. Thank you. Oh my God, if he actually answers the call. Anyway, awesome. What a good. I don't know how you feel, Kev. By the way, I love your hat. Like my ref is Marsh is trying to call. Did you see my little tribute to you, buddy, over my shoulder? The Biz Nasty Yotes jersey. Go Yotes. So sick of everybody shitting on the Yotes. The Yotes are they're the heel
unavailable.
Yeah, they must have changed the number. So.
No, it's a real number, but I think it's not his only number. I think he got a new phone. I think if you're trying to get a little bit into like the reality of it, he has a second phone that goes off all the time, and sometimes he'll pick up, sometimes he won't. Like, but yeah, the stuff Sami Zayn's doing with Knoxville, the phone number, it's so fucking funny. Because I've seen a ton of people on my timeline who are like posting screenshots of Sammy having answered and just being like, "Why do you guys keep calling me?"
Oh, that's so awesome. I thought they kayfabed that whole thing. That is fucking incredible, dude.
No, it's real. Yeah, and everything that they're doing with Sammy is amazing. And dude, it's so funny too, because you want to talk about those smart fucking fans. When his contract was coming up, and everyone's like, "Well, he better go to AEW. He better go to AEW." And he's like, "I'm really happy in WWE." And people are like, "How?" I was like, "How is he? He's having the most fun of his life."
Well, and that's, we've talked about it several times. That's where people get confused. Just because they're not champions, they think, oh, they're underutilized.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen a bunch of people like that, and it's like, well, they could be happy just doing what they're doing.
Yeah,
they don't need the accolades or the championships and stuff like that.
But. A part of the story as well, Austin Theory came out and he was sitting fucking ringside, which was so funny. The way he sat next to McAfee and just sat there like arms crossed staring at McAfee, you're like, dude, like, it's one thing when you come out and be like, I'm on commentary and be a dick, but he was just like mean mugging. And I was like, what the fuck? And then he starts getting in McAfee's face. Yo, before I hear from Beard, I want to know how Kev thought it played out with McAfee jumping over the table and the kind of pull apart that sort of took place there.
I'm trying to remember it. Like, I think it was pretty well, because security was there soon afterwards, right? And kind of...
Yeah, and you had Michael Cole on the commentary where he's screaming to Pat, not like this, Pat, don't let him get to you.
Be professional.
Stay professional.
Yeah. I thought it was actually, the more I remember it as it's coming back to me, I thought it was done really well. Because I do like how Cole was kind of, obviously he was in character, but it seemed like he was like genuinely like, hey, cut the shit. Like, you know, you still got a job here. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
I thought it was done really well.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing. And the pull apart, that look that Pat McAfee had on his face when they're pushing Austin Theory down the ramp and he's kind of going towards them, and like it was that smug without being smug. It was that sort of like he came off like a dude who's been in a few bar fights before where he's had to stand up for himself. And he came off legitimately like, look, I'm here, man. If you want to fucking fight, we can fucking fight. I may not lose, but I'm not running either. Was all kind of written on his face. And that, like, look, he almost was, like, confident in his ability to take a punch, if that makes sense.
Justin Time says Michael Cole was excellent. Super pumped for McAfee Theory.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's going to be incredible. And I loved the way that McAfee and Cole played this. Beard,
Me too, Justin Time.
Hate it? Oh, that's a surprise. I thought you weren't going to like it. What'd you think, Beard?
Would be shocking if I hated it, right?
Right?
Here's what I want to say. I don't want to say anything specific about it because I think you guys covered all bases. What I really love that WWE is doing with Pat they're letting him show clips of that shit between when he takes breaks on his radio show / YouTube show. So if you aren't a fan of the WWE, but you're a fan of Pat and you watch the WWE for Pat, you're more intrigued because now we had the Adam Cole thing, right? Which I went back and watched all that. And I was blown away by Pat's in-ring ability.
Yes.
That dude is a spectacular athlete. I was also blown away that he was like 265 when Vince McMahon, like the boy can put on some poundage. He looks incredible, and he's only been doing like the keto stuff for like a week. So, no, he's been the keto diet for a while, excuse me, but he's only been training since Vince was on the show to say, hey, come on. You know, I didn't get a chance to talk about that interview with you guys, but Stephanie did such an eloquent job of talking about it. I don't feel like I need to say anything. I felt very much as you guys did. I loved it. Kiro Nico Karasua says WrestleMania is coming fast. It is, man. It's coming. I that thing could be a main event. That's how excited I am for it. And that's all I got to say. I really appreciate the WWE allowing him to help build that story outside of the show. And the most impressive thing to me was he was in cowboy boots and got up and did what he did. And I thought it was great. And I'm looking forward to seeing that punk ass selfie-tation bitch, fucking Austin Theory, get the shit beat out of him for the fucking brand, baby. Justin Time says, still laugh at the first time Austin slapped Pat in the face. And then Pat jumps on the table and called him a little bitch. I'll tell you, the first time, I don't think Pat thought he was getting slapped. And I know for a fact, Pat says this all the time. He does not know what's going on. He does not know what's going to happen. He gets no notification. He did not know Austin Theory was going to be his opponent. And he did not, because he doesn't really know the guys from Raw, he'll even say. And I know he doesn't watch Raw because he does football and he's got Monday night and stuff. So I love it. I can't wait to see Austin Theory get the shit beat out of him. But I think Austin Theory's got a big future in the WWE too. So we'll see. Hopefully he's on Smackdown next year.
The way that Austin Theory slapped him and immediately started walking away made me think that they didn't tell Pat was going to happen, and they were a little bit nervous that, hey, once you engage with Pat physically,
get the fuck out of there.
Yeah, you might want to get the fuck out of there because we haven't talked to him about what's next.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I agree. I agree with you.
And
100%.
I think that Pat also was like, he's smart enough, but also I think hot-headed enough to also recognize that as the guy's walking away, that's probably for the best, and he'll stand right here and just call him a bitch boy. Like, I felt like everyone played that to perfection, and I feel like that, hey, if you slap him, you better start walking away, because Pat's not going to just be punked out.
Well, the first time I think Pat was going to, I really think it took all his being to not beat the crap out of Austin Theory. But that's not in Pat's nature. He's not a guy that goes looking for that bullshit. He's not an idiot. So again, man, I was with you. It's so good.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Let's see. The last thing about SmackDown, we'll move it on. The Ronda Rousey Charlotte stuff. Is it?
I like it.
To me, do you like it?
I want Ronda to be. Remember, I told you I was not a fan of Ronda as a MMA fighter.
Yeah.
Until I found out a little bit about her personal life and stuff. By then, she'd been kind of dethroned by Holly Holm and stuff. So. I am a huge Ronda fan. She's getting better and better on the microphone. She's an Olympian, so the athlete stuff is there. She's way better in the ring than I expected her to be. She's good. I've heard that too. I'm excited for her to beat Charlotte, and then hopefully Charlotte goes away.
Okay. Kev, what do you think about this?
Two things. First, I just want to say, I like that they're letting Ronda just embrace her fandom and reactions to the fans, because before it was hey, be serious, do this. Now she's smiling. She's because before she was smiling when people would cheer for her, almost get embarrassed type of thing. And now that it's kind of all right, embrace it, go with it, and I like it.
Yeah.
But that aside, I am not. I want Ronda to win, obviously, big time, but, the whole shit with Charlotte, she's just...
Does it feel so forced to you?
Well, the end part, Ref Marsh, last week, where she attacked her in the parking lot. Yeah. She seems like legitimately irritated that she's not going to be like the fans are immediately behind Ronda because they hate Charlotte. She's not good. You know, she's not good on the microphone.
See, but the problem is I think that they think that, hey, this is what you want from a heel. And it's like, no, she's not a good heel. It's, you know, she has like, you know, 12-year-old, like 12-year-old little girl freaking comebacks to the crowd.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah, my dad can beat up your dad. She didn't say that, but stuff like that. And like, it's like, that doesn't make a good heel. Like I think a lot of people are booing her because they genuinely don't like, you know, not that she's a heel, but that they don't like her.
Yeah, I do think that she might be getting booed because people don't want to see her there. Like how Nia was getting booed because people don't want to see her there. It wasn't because we boo the bad guys, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like it's coming off so forced. I feel like that it's super forced and...
Well, I could say this, Ref Marsh. I love the Ronda side. Yeah. Kiro Nico Karasu in the chat says, this Saturday going to be busy because Stand and Deliver is right before Mania. So that's almost 12 hours of wrestling in one night. Then she also says, sweet. And then she says, Rue Slip, the only good heel in the Charlotte Ronda feud is the ones on Charlotte's feet. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Kev.
I like it.
That's the thing with you put it really well when you're talking about Charlotte. Her comebacks seem really sophomoric and like juvenile. Yeah. And it just feels like she takes everything personal. I don't feel like she's ever been able to like separate her not being over from like just doing the show and being a wrestler. It's just almost honestly, I've been disappointed that she's been on Smackdown. I wish she would be on Raw because I already miss seeing a lot of Becky Lynch, but I'm watching both, obviously. Yeah, so yeah. The Ronda Charlotte thing isn't a half. Doesn't hold a candle to the Becky
Bianca.
And I want to say something about that because remember how I was kind of upset.
Let's get into it. Let's move on to Raw. If there's nothing else you guys say about SmackDown, let's just go on to Raw. We'll start with Becky and Bianca. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, Ref Marsh, I got to give you huge props on this. You told me back, 6 months ago, I was like, man, they're just kind of buried Bianca. And Kev, I don't know if you remember me saying this, and I was really upset. Boy, they got her back into the forefront, and I liked how they did it, and it's been really good. Yeah, I'm really excited. That match, I am so excited for that match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was saying before that Bianca on the back burner, people misconstrue what back burner means. It doesn't mean that the back burner is forgotten about and not there. If you're any kind of a cook, you know that back burner is getting ready to be on the entree. It just needs to stay a little hot. You just put it on that low flame and you got it going.
Yeah, you keep it at a simmer.
Yeah, you're
keeping it at a simmer. Well, they even addressed it. They even addressed it.
Yeah.
Bianca 100%. Addressed it. Yeah. She goes, I went to the back of the line and I worked my way back.
Yeah, 100%.
I hope she beats Becky, though. I hope Bianca beats Becky.
I'm torn. I think Becky has to lose, and I think Becky should never lose. But, you know.
But Bianca's incredible in the ring, too. Again, that Dewdrop match was sick. That was the wrestler I was looking for to wrestle on 2K22 was Dewdrop. She will be on the game eventually because I wanted to do a Bianca Dewdrop because those matches were incredible. That was Raw. That was on Raw this week. We're talking about Raw.
The way that Bianca got Dewdrop in that spot for the KOD and then marched to the middle of the ring. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Not only do I have her here, but I'm fucking poised here. I can do this all day, motherfucker. You know what I mean? I was like, fuck.
Oh, dude, that was such a good match, too.
Yep. Kev, what do you think of Bianca Dewdrop and then Becky coming out, slamming Bianca around, grabbing her by the hair, putting that chair around her throat and slamming her right up against that pole? What do you think?
The match between Dewdrop and Bianca was, it was nice. It was, entertaining. And, obviously Becky coming in afterwards was great. I rewound it a few times. I couldn't exactly make out what Becky yelled to Bianca about her hair.
Oh, I think it was like, I'm coming for your hair next week.
That's what I thought it said.
I think there was a
that makes
bitch
sense.
in there too.
Well, that
Yeah.
probably was a bitch or two.
But
I actually
that
thought
chair shot,
Yeah,
like to the ring post, like that was gnarly looking. That
that was
came out
crazy.
great.
Yeah, that
Was
was
she
insane.
hurt? I think she's legit hurt. Is she not? Did she get legit hurt? Or is that all kayfabe?
I don't think so.
I don't think she was legit hurt, but I'll
Okay.
tell you from watching it over and over again, I guess I wouldn't be shocked if she was. Like, it felt like she fucking was. Like that.
Mhm.
That's what I mean. The women in this program, Dewdrop included, are all on such a high level. I feel like Becky is not about to have someone come in and do a match against her and not come out the other side on as close a level as she can get her to on her own. And I feel like that we see that with everyone who's been even jumping around just a smidge, but even like Liv Morgan, after being in that program with Becky, has been operating on such a higher level as well. And I don't think that's a mistake or an accident. Becky and Bayley are very similar champions, where they're building a roster up around them to make it all seem like it's going to come tumbling down, where other champions destroy the roster around them, so it feels like we're in this forever. And I think there's two different things. Sierra in the chat says, I'm on edge watching those girls. Yep.
So
Yo.
good, Sarah. Totally agree with you.
Yeah. It's amazing. The stuff that they're doing right now, the women's division there, the Bianca Becky shit, fucking so good.
Well, but the Liv Rhea, you mentioned Liv and how good
Go
she
ahead.
is. Liv and Rhea, like, I liked the Rhea Nikki ASH team up, but I love Nikki ASH being a heel, and I love the Rhea Liv team up. That is awesome. They are good. They could easily win tag team champions, and I'm like, I believe it, and it's great.
I think they're a better team than Nikki and Rhea. Not that Nikki and Rhea was bad at all. I love that dynamic. It was a different dynamic. But I thought when they paired up Rhea and Liv together, I was all like, oh, that's should have been happening. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Kev.
the chemistry just seems there.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't, like, with Liv and Rhea, the chemistry just feels natural, and they feed off of each other, where with Nikki and Rhea, I know it's kind of like the opposites, and a lot of times the opposites work well together, and they did, but I just don't think they have the natural chemistry that those two have.
Well, they were working for it.
Well, but Kev, quick question for you: don't you like Nikki ASH and Dewdrop as a pair too? That's a cool pair. I like that team. That
It's
could be like the
interesting-
Alpha Academy of the women's tag team. It's so good. And Nikki ASH is actually doing the heel thing like fairly good. I mean, I like it.
Nikki needs to enroll at Full Sail.
Yeah.
But
for sure.
no, I do like that team. I like their promos that they've done together too. Like, it just, it's weird when you see a tag team break up, though. They normally, each go have their single runs.
Mm-hmm.
You never, and one of them sometimes goes to another tag team, but you never really see them both just join a different tag team.
Who's Nikki tagging with?
Dewdrop.
Nikki ASH and Dewdrop. Did you watch Raw?
Yeah.
You watched Raw, right?
Was Nikki? I was so fixated on Bianca and Becky. I didn't even notice Nikki was out
You
there.
don't remember the old? I don't know if they're wrestling at WrestleMania, but they're a team right now.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They,
it's good.
that.
It was
I
good.
missed
They did a
that.
promo. You might have missed the promo. And
Oh, the
stuff.
promo
Oh,
was
that's
great, 'cause
right.
Nikki-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
Nikki
Yeah,
started
Nikki
it.
says,
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
good.
we're-
Yeah.
she's like, superheroes need this or whatever. I forgot exactly how it went, but we're just going to kick
your.
your ass, basically.
Yep,
Yeah.
it was good. And then Dewdrop said something, and I thought it was. I remember. Yeah. Now that you bring it up, I remember thinking how good they were together back and forth on that one. I was like, Nikki's so fucking good. And
Please
Dewdrop
clip
is
this
good.
that you totally forgot this and put this out on the
I completely forgot. Oh yeah, I had spaced that they were a team. I don't know why. I don't know how I saw them come out together and do a promo together, and I didn't equate them as a tag team. But I didn't. I definitely did not.
Well, they're working as a tag team right now.
For
so
sure.
But I hope they keep it together for a while because it's really good. And I think that Corey Graves actually, again, credit to him, or maybe it was Saxon, talked. I guess they wrestled at the same academy over where they're from, Ireland. They're Irish, right?
One Scottish and
one
one's
is-
Irish.
But it was the same. They came up in the same like wrestling school at the same time or something. Which I thought, oh wow, that's cool. That's not wrecking anything. I just thought it was. It really helped the story. Even honestly, I liked it.
Yeah. Absolutely. And even as long as we're talking about Liv Morgan and Rhea and that team together too, with all the Carmella stuff was wrapped into that same segment there. Carmella.
Oh, that's so good.
Interfering, Rhea going after Carmella running away and jumping into Corey's lap and screaming.
Yes. Awesome.
Carmella is so fucking obnoxious that it's like perfectly obnoxious.
But that's
I think there's a balance. Go ahead, Kev. What do you think?
Well, I was gonna say she's obnoxious as a heel
Yes.
compared to Charlotte, who's just obnoxious and not kayfabe obnoxious.
100%.
So that's what I was about to say is I think that there's a balance some people lose track of is there's like a perfectly obnoxious for being a heel where you hate that person, you want to see them lose, but then there's a certain level of obnoxious where people go so far that you're like I'm not even interested in you as a character. I'm not interested in you as a performer. I just am disinterested in you because it's almost like a step beyond obnoxious. Like I think obnoxious is where you got to live as a heel. You want people to see you do stupid shit and people go, "Oh, come on. Are you serious?" And then I think we go past obnoxious into like almost like just like a can't stand. Like I think it's beyond. Like there's like a different level where I think if you go too far past obnoxious, you're in this level where people can't stand you, and they just don't want anything of it. You know what I mean? Like, so in the past, the more heat you got as a heel, the better. People would want to stab you. They would throw shit at you. They wanted to see you lose because they hated you so bad. But I feel like that society's come to a point where when we don't like something enough, it's real easy to, as they say, swipe right. You know what I mean? Like,
or block it.
Yeah, block it, mute it, swipe away, move on. We're at a part where emotionally as a society, if we don't like something, we don't boil over in hatred. We just fucking ignore it and move on. And
you
I
must
think
not read a lot about politics, Ref Marsh.
Well, there's that whole other there's a whole other realm there. But I'm saying as far as like it comes to entertainment, because what I'm doing is starting the conversation where a lot of people talk about how heels used to be and all heat is good heat and all that stuff, right?
You're talking in context of wrestling. I just made it.
Yeah. No, and I do think it's funny because I think it's like there's an accuracy to that. But I also think that like when it comes to entertainment, we definitely have gotten to a point in society where you have to toe the line of obnoxious to where people are willing to sit there and watch you because they don't like you and not get so far over that people are no longer watching because they want nothing to do with you. And I think that you're used to be, no matter how much they didn't like you, they didn't get up and walk away.
Well, but Ref Marsh, though, like specifically, and I agree with you, I think there's always been an art to being a heel if you're a good heel or not, and how it carries over with the fans. But I mean, I've seen things where Roddy Piper said when people thought it was real, he gets stabbed and shit in the arenas and stuff. So I'm kind of glad that we've gotten away from that sort of like vitriol, you know.
Yes,
but that's okay, you know.
Oh, 100%. I think we've gotten to a place where emotionally, as a whole entire sense of society, we're not to the point where we allow ourselves to get so heated into a moment we're willing to just stab someone because we don't like them in the ring. But that does mean that we become a dismissive society. If we don't like a thing enough, we dismiss it entirely, which I think is a really interesting thing just from a performer standpoint. If you're a heel where you're trying to get the crowd to hate you, if you're Baron Corbin, you want them to hate you, and you feed off that hatred, how do you go deep into that hatred where they truly don't like you, but not so far over in hatred where they just completely dismiss you? Because in society now, that's where we get. And I don't know, I thought it was interesting that we're talking about. Kev, what do you think about it?
I think you guys are 100% correct on that, where, you know, you want just the level of obnoxious and, you know, but you still want to see them.
Yeah.
Like you don't like, for me, Charlotte's the bathroom break. You know what I mean? Charlotte goes out there and it's like, all right, it's time for the bathroom break. If I miss something,
I've been holding it
don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sierra Alligator says, I did when Bailey turned. And I wasn't around for Bailey, so you guys can. And then she says, never forget the
Thug Nation. No, Hug Nation. Wait, she got pissed when Bailey turned?
She was upset, yeah.
I guess.
When she killed the Bailey buddies. But anyways, when
Yeah,
you were
but wasn't
talking
that the
about
best
heels-
for her character? Everything I've read about her.
It was.
Was
Yeah.
that the best for Bailey? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Kev. You were saying about you take the bathroom break when Charlotte does. I agree with that.
Yeah. Charlotte makes me poop.
Yep.
But
Takes poop to make poop.
Yep. No, randomly, another going back to the Roman, dethroning Roman, you guys talking about heels and somebody in the company. The Undead. Maybe Elias finally comes back.
That would be cool.
That could be cool.
I don't know
Wait,
anything
sorry.
about that guy other than you guys say he's awesome. And
Oh, yeah.
most of the
Yeah.
time when you guys tell me something's awesome, it turns out to be awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to find that clip of him in Seattle. I'm going to send it to you because you'll love it.
Well, he set the record for longest TV boo or
I
live
know.
boo.
Yeah, I'm going to find it.
It
I'm going
was
to send it to
great.
him.
Oh, this is
Elias.
so he was a heel.
Yes.
Yeah, well, yeah. He was mainly
Okay.
a heel. He kind of flip flopped for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, like you said, I think that because the reason I bring it up is because I think there's a lot of like old school mentality of all heat is good heat and you got to get the hatred. But I feel like the big change, the big shift that people don't take into account is that society as a whole has changed as to not just stay when they hate someone. If they hate someone enough, they will dismiss them. And I think that that's the art of what it is being a heel now. And like you said, with Carmella being so obnoxious, you can't turn it off because what is this terrible bitch gonna do today? You know what I mean? Like she comes out, oh my god, what is she gonna do? Where
Well, the Corbins,
when Charlotte
the
comes
Miz,
off, you go, I don't care. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just gonna say with the Corbin and Miz, they do the same thing where you're not turning it off when they're on,
Yeah.
you know, and you get pleasure out of booing them.
And
You know,
seeing
when
them
you-
get their ass beat.
Yeah. And when you're booing Charlotte, you're just booing her just because you don't like it.
And because
Well-
you probably don't have to poop. Because if I
Yeah,
gotta poop,
yeah, man.
I'm really happy, right? But if I don't gotta poop, then I'm just all like, oh come on, I don't even gotta poop now. There was one. It was like 2 weeks ago. I went and took a bathroom break, came out, and then the Montez Ford came out, and I was like, oh come on, I don't have any more left in me.
They didn't time that one right.
Speaking of heel turns, what do you guys think of Edge's heel turn?
Great question, fantastic, Kev. I want to know what you think first and foremost. What do you think of this version of Edge? The new music, the blue lights. What do you think?
Yeah.
I like the original, like, you think you know me, but
Yeah,
then
me too.
like the well, not just the music, but like the laugh. But now that they kind of play it, I don't know. I didn't like it as much, but I do like the new Edge. Because Edge, like he didn't, like if I remember correctly, he towed the line between heel and face a lot of times, where
I agree.
you know he would do undermining things and you know whatever.
Yeah, but the crowd still loved him no matter how much they were supposed to hate
Yeah.
him.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was just the only thing that I didn't get from it was why AJ? Because AJ's supposed to be a heel steal, right?
No, I think they're kind of turning
now is
AJ.
he-
They're turning AJ babyface, Kev. I think.
For
Well,
this
no, yeah.
specifically is the argument.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why
But
does he gotta
I-
go babyface now?
Yeah. I mean, I would think that it would be like I think it would have been better if AJ was either a babyface or you got somebody else.
I think I'm excited for that match though, Kev, because those guys are so
Oh.
good.
Oh no,
And I
I am
think-
too.
I think they
love
just
both
thought,
of them.
let's make Edge. Well, because I mean, also, isn't it? We feel like Edge's days are numbered, right? We think he's not going to wrestle much longer. Like he's getting close to like retiring again permanently, and so I think maybe they just felt that that would give the story a little bit more gravitas. I think for the diehard wrestler fans, we don't need it. They probably could have just had Edge and AJ go up but to make Edge, like to do kind of a total reimage, I actually give them a lot of credit because I think it was kind of risky to take a guy that's a Hall of Famer, that's super known, that has, I love that intro song. I think it's one of the best of all time, his original one. The new one is different, but I didn't hate it because I'm like, you know what? They're really going all in on making Edge a heel, and I'm okay with it. And again, I would never have thought of AJ as much as I did if it wasn't for like Justin Time and him selling and really spending some time. But Omos broke up with AJ, so we don't have all that stupid stuff going on anymore. Not that that was bad or anything. I'm just saying like Omos is going on his own. So like I like that they're giving AJ like a big push here as a babyface with a like also an Edge heel push. I'm for it. I'm for it because I know we're gonna get a great match, but I like that we're getting something different story wise. You guys know that I think is paramount.
I think that AJ is on a different level of his ability that I don't think a lot of people take into account. Like he can flip no problem. Right. When he was a babyface when he got into the program with Undertaker.
Yeah.
And then they're all like, well, no one's going to cheer you here. And so he turned heel on a dime. His ability to turn heel and babyface and the entire crowd to go with him is that perfect balance, like I said, where he knows how to be obnoxious and shitty enough to where the crowd gets it. He knows how to be stand-up enough to where the crowd can get behind him. So I think that Edge, like if I were to play fake wrestling journalist like everyone else does, I would say backstage Edge wanted to work with AJ, but Edge also had a vision about being a heel. Yeah. And all he had to do was say, this is how I want to present myself in the story, and AJ said, I got you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Edge is pulling it off. I
think they both are. Kev?
Oh, I think so too. I'm intrigued by it. I just think what I was trying to say before with AJ or using somebody else as the face is I think the turn would have had more of an impact if it was already like a true face.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
because
at no time am I complaining because seeing these two in what's turning out to be like a grudge match, I'm 100% for.
Yeah, me too. I got no issues with them at all. I think they're both doing awesome. You know what's funny? I got a question for you, Kev, because you've been in it forever.
Oh,
the version of the music that Beard loves, that on this day, that whole, I preferred his right before the Brood music, where it did say, you think you know me, and then went into that whole other song where it wasn't just some sort of Creed-sounding intro.
Yeah.
Now, I don't hate it, but every time I hear it, I go, I like the other one more. So when he went heel here, I was all like, I wonder if they're going to go back to that music prior to the Brood. And they didn't. I don't know what this stuff was.
Yeah, like, I need to hear it again, because it was him saying, you think you know me, which is fine.
Yeah.
And I don't remember if there's a fake laugh in there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to hear it again. But, like, I'm okay with him saying, so you think you know me, laughing a little, and then going into the music. I think this would be one that would be better without lyrics.
Yeah.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you guys about that specifically, both of you. The crowd booed him pretty good. Like, he turned heel so quick. And I thought that was, I wonder what you guys thought of that. I thought that was great. Like, he pulled it off right away. There was no wait.
Yeah. No, they're on board. They're on board with what he's up to. And like I said, I think that's the delicate balance nowadays. Is the young kids are going to boo off the cues of if they like or don't like. The adults are smart enough to know if they're being, in essence, if they're being worked or not. Are you trying to make me dislike you, and am I on board? And a lot of adults have the cognitive ability to be on board or not. But I think with Edge, he's perfect at that. He can hit both sides. He can get the kids to not like him, even though they were supposed to like him. He can get the parents to boo with the kid. Like, I think AJ and Edge together, whether you went babyface or heel for either one, they would have made it work. They're amazing. They're incredible.
Mm-hmm.
They're two of the greatest of all time.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Do you think the match at Mania is going to have any kind of stipulation?
Interesting.
Like a chair match or anything like that?
TLC would be cool.
The problem with TLC is the L. With a ladder in a match, something's got to be hanging above the ring, and neither one of them have anything worth hanging.
What? That's true. That's true.
They could hang Lita. She could just be hanging up there like with a. And someone's got to get her down.
That kind of
like,
doesn't make sense with Beth Phoenix kind of in the picture, though, right? So
that's a good point. Beth wouldn't like that. I'll give you that.
I think we probably don't go down that road.
Beth would
back
be
to
up
the
there
drawing
cutting her
board.
down.
Yeah, I wonder if they will do a stipulation, because I think that it's the type of match where they probably don't need one, but they would do well with one.
But I think with the chairs, Edge and the concerto and stuff like that, like,
yeah,
I think it'd be cool. I think it'd be added, like it would add to it.
Yeah, I agree.
But I didn't think all TLC matches had to have like title taken. I thought they've just had TLC matches.
Anyone who's listening now, give us a tweet at Kevlar on the Rocks with an X. Find us any match that involves a ladder in any way, TLC, that does not have something dangling from the top of the arena. Because I don't think there's been a single match that had a ladder involved without something having to come down off the top. I don't think ladders were ever just a prop. They were a utilization in the finish, I think.
Well, I'm thinking of like the original TLC matches with like the Hardy Boys, Edge and
The tag
Christian,
titles.
Dudley's.
The tag titles were up top.
Yeah, but I thought there was another one where they weren't. But
Well,
maybe
if anyone can find evidence that there was ever not something dangling from the rooftops in any form of a match that involved a ladder in any way, TLC or
pulling out
otherwise,
my Googler.
let me know. Let's see. Yeah, the Edge AJ stuff, fantastic. I'm liking what they're doing with Omos. Omos and Aziz was pretty cool.
Yeah, he looks impressive.
I don't know where they're going to go with it ultimately, but I'm enjoying the ride with them. Because I think that we get to a point where Omos is a fucking monster.
Yeah, he could be a guy that could challenge Roman, but there's a lot of building that has to be done.
That's
right?
true. Yeah, I'll give you that 100%. What do you guys think of Damian Priest and Finn Balor? They had a match here. Damian Priest got the win. Theory was involved in it. Finn Balor's your current champion. I think we're getting Damian Priest and Finn Balor at WrestleMania. How many times... Here's my problem. How many times do we want to see Damian Priest versus Finn Balor before we get Damian Priest versus Finn Balor? You know what I mean? Like, some of it's got to be the anticipation, as they say in outdoor picture shows.
Yeah. I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it, for sure. But this was a little... There wasn't enough tomfoolery for me in this one. As much as we like clean finishes, I prefer a dirty one, if I'm being honest. But... As far as like
finish.
Yeah, I could have used a lot dirtier of a finish here. A lot more skeet, as it were.
No.
What?
No.
What?
Come on.
Because I think that if you have too much clean on the finish, while we get to WrestleMania, it's kind of like, well, why wasn't Damian Priest champion again here in this moment? Is all I'm saying. I think the two of them work incredibly well together. I love it. I loved the Damian Priest, also as a side note, was worked very closely with Scott Hall in the Performance Center, and he was open about that a long time ago in NXT. So he's been utilizing the Razor's Edge and the Surfer Walk to the ring since NXT. To see him do it here tonight on that night was really nice. I found surprised.
A TLC match.
Which one?
It was in TLC 2012. It was actually teams of 3, but it was the Shield versus Ryback
Okay.
and Team Hell No.
Okay, and it was for no title at all.
Nuh-uh, yeah.
It was just a fucking match.
Is it 3-on-3? Yeah.
That sounds stupid. So it happens when you put Ryback in the equation.
I know, right? Fucks everything up.
Yeah, but I think with Damian Priest here, I would say the only thing that I was a little surprised by as far as Damian Priest and close to Scott Hall, he has gear that has the dripping kind of blood thing that Scott Hall had on a vest, and he has knee pads. He wore it in NXT, and I kind of suspected that his vest coming out was going to be his Scott Hall inspired vest, and it was not. I mean, whatever. It's what if he sold it? What if they did it for auction for charity? Who knows? But it was nice to see him use the Razor's Edge on Balor. It was nice to see him do the Surfer Walk. Kevin Owens opening the show with "Hey Yo." MSK on NXT coming out cutting their promo saying "Hey Yo." He was beloved and influential, and I just love those little moments, those little nods. But outside of that, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, good match. Excited for the WrestleMania, the match that's sure to come. Anything else on that one, Beard?
Yeah, I'm excited for the match. I appreciate you pointing out all the Scott Hall stuff too. The Razor's Edge thing I caught, but I didn't catch all the other subtle things they did in tribute to him. And honestly, I like the tribute. And I told you I was about to punch Corey Graves in the throat until he got all emotional about because I think he's trying to run his own game a little bit. Like, dude, they just gave you your own YouTube show. Like, do that. Like, you're getting enough play. Pat is Pat. Leave Pat alone. You're not on fucking Pat's level at all. So, but yeah, dude, I'm really excited for the Damian Priest, Finn Balor stuff. And I don't know, did you see there was a lot? Again, I love how I unfollowed a couple of the people that report wrestling stuff a lot of times erroneously. I think they do it on purpose because based on a conversation you and I have had recently. I am a huge Finn Balor fan, and I know that he was gone for a while, but he came out and said that it was because he had to go back to Ireland to renew his visa. And that's why he was gone. He didn't want to take any time off. In fact, said he wouldn't have if he didn't have to do that. So I'm happy to see him in the ring, and I think he's awesome, and I think Finn Balor's great in the ring. So what do you think,
That's
Kev?
true. So right after the Roman Reigns match, he disappeared for about a month, and a lot of reports came out saying, oh, WWE has no idea what to do with him creatively. They're not high on him anymore. They've lost faith in Finn Balor, I saw. That they're probably just going to wait out his contract and not renew it. And lo and behold, Finn Balor comes out today and says, I was dealing with a visa issue. I had to go back to Ireland to do so. You have to do it once every 10 years. He goes, it came up after the Roman match. They thought, you know what, now's as good a time as any. He goes, I didn't want to do it right now. He goes, but they said do it now, and so I did it now. And so he's gone for about a month. I hope, especially after hearing his After the Bell interview, he hadn't been home in so long. I hope that while that was happening, that month he had to deal with his visa issue in Ireland, I hope he went back to Ireland for that full month and spent a month back home and saw his family in his hometown and saw his old friends and went to the old playground and did all that, because he was saying it's been 20 plus years since he'd really spent time in Ireland again. I hope that he at least took advantage of that.
I hope he locked himself in a castle and told everybody to fuck off because he's way bigger than them. I don't care what he did. I just love that. No, but I'm just saying, like, you know, like what we've talked about before, where you're like, you know, just stop reading some of the shit you're reading and just wait. And we'll see what happens. Yep. Why ruin the experience? It's the same thing with spoilers in movies. Like, why are you trying to ruin the experience? And 90% of the time well, I don't even want to give the guy pub. It's not accurate, you know. So if he's got inside sources, he's just making shit up for clickbait bullshit, which that seems to be come across as journalism now. Back in the day, you just got your elbows dirty and got real information. And so if you didn't put out a story for every day, it didn't matter, you know. Go ahead, Kev. I'm sorry.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. That's one of the bigger reasons Marsh knows why I stay off a lot of the social medias, because, you know, you read all these rumors and bullshit journalism, air quotes.
But
And
you can block and/or swipe right, as Marsh said. That's
yeah, but it's also easier just to stay off of that crap.
That's true. That's true.
Just stay the fuck off.
Yeah, but anyways, going to Priest real quick. I heard that's, once again, rumors that I saw that I try and stay away from, is the reason why he's not doing the Reckoning anymore is because of Cody Rhodes.
Oh, that could be because they're gonna bring Cody.
Yeah, because I'm like, I'm not a journalist by any means, but I'm like 99% sure Cody's going to WWE.
Yeah, but you have the same qualifications as the journalist, so it works.
But I'm not publishing anything.
Well, let me just say this. I think he has the same qualifications as a wrestling journalist, because it just seems like the wrestling journalists seem to be, especially that one guy, real effing shady. So.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that could be too. And at the same time, he didn't use the Reckoning much in NXT as much as he used the Razor's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
I could see him definitely going back to that.
The Razor's Edge. I'm glad somebody else is using it, because I always thought that was one of the best finishers.
It was sick.
It just looks awesome. The other one that I want to bring
shit
back
on every fucking stuffed animal I had.
Oh yeah, little siblings, everything.
Yeah,
anything that moved, the dog, the cat,
mm-hmm.
nail them. But the other move that I brought it up before, but I wanted Keith Lee or Bearcat Lee to use it, but I want somebody else to use it. Is I want somebody to use the fucking Lex Luger's torture rack.
Yeah. I think the reason people don't...
Bobby Lashley would be awesome.
I think the reason they don't, though, is because I think that it's really bad on the spine. If you notice, Nikki Bella did it was like the torture rack, but she would fall to a knee and do it. And that move that she did on others actually fucked up her own neck. So I think that's why people don't. But I agree with you. It's a fucking badass move. I'd like to see somebody who could do it. I could see like a Bianca doing it. She's strong enough.
I was gonna say that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be nice to see come back. But yeah, Damian Priest, Finn Balor, fantastic. If you want, we can go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something about Finn Balor's return too, because I think it worked out really well that he had to go renew his visa too, because he wrestled Roman as a demon and then he just came back as Finn Balor. I actually think that made that transition kind of a little bit nicer, instead of just like the week later him being back as Finn Balor. Oh, I lost to Roman. I actually am glad they didn't explain any of that. It made that whole thing, the culmination of that whole thing, better, to be honest. Just my thoughts on that.
I agree 1,000%. And matter of fact, I would go so far to say is I think that there's a lot of cycling of talent being active on TV that is very smart when a talent's not even injured. And I think Balor's the type to get away with it, where it's like, okay, let's just keep you off TV for a couple months and then just have you come back. I think sometimes you don't need this crazy big story on why you went away and why you came back. I think sometimes you do a thing and then they just don't use you for 3 months and they cycle you back. Because I think that's something people, especially wrestling fans, don't take into account, is the talent is getting paid, end of story. So the thing that they have the most at their fingertips is time. Can we burn 3 months and pay this guy to hang out for 3 months off TV and bring him back and make him a bigger deal in 3 months? If the answer is yes, do that thing. Make him a bigger deal. When Finn Balor came back, he came back as a big fucking deal. When he left, he was a dude who almost beat Roman, and an act of God got in his way. That's not a bad place to stop. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm saying is I think that the idea of cycling talent out for 3 months at a time, 2 months at a time, let them come back and make a little bit of a return is better for everyone involved. Lets the talent rest, lets them heal up, lets them take a little vacation, let them go to Japan, Ireland, whatever they want to do. Come back 3-6 months down the line. Let's get back to it, because at the end of the day, your contract is for a time frame, not for a match interval like it used to be. It used to actually be by match. You get 15. It was because Scott Hall broke it down in one of his interviews I listened to recently. It was like $1,500 a match. Or no, it might have been less. I think it was $150 a match. And so if you only did 10 matches that year, you got $1,500 base. But your merch and everything else got you more money, right? So if you're getting paid per match, yeah, it sucks to not be on TV. But if you're getting paid by time, take the rest, elongate your career, let's make you more special. I think Finn Balor is the perfect example of being more special every time he comes back. Let's wrap it up here on the Kevin Owens Seth Rollins thing. You mentioned it before, Seth Rollins. I forgot what you mentioned, so I'm going to say something else instead. Kevin Owens.
They don't know what they're going to do with him at WrestleMania. We don't know what. Yeah,
exactly. Seth Rollins' whole storyline here is how does he get to WrestleMania? What does he do? I love it. A lot of fans said, due to certain newsletter reporting, that Cody Rhodes was certainly coming in this Monday Night Raw. Everyone tune in, watch Raw. Cody's going to be there. And if he's not there, you're going to see Seth Rollins in an entirely different program. So that way you know what he's doing for WrestleMania. So everyone, please tune in. No Cody. I love it because fuck the dirt sheets. But
and we don't know what is happening with Seth Rollins.
We have no idea what's happening with Seth Rollins, but that's the
so
story.
They were wrong on all accounts.
Couldn't have been more wrong.
It was a last-second change.
Oh, yeah. Plans change. I saw someone say that they probably changed it because Scott Hall passed away and they didn't want it to overshadow that. I don't buy into that either. But one thing that happened in there, Beard, because I know you may not have caught it, Kevin and Seth had a moment in the back where Seth,
watched it. I'm not the one that forgets stuff now, buddy.
But you don't always know things from beforehand. That's what I'm talking about beforehand. Kevin Owens said to Seth Rollins, "Tough times don't last, but tough guys do." That's
from Scott Hall. That's from Scott Hall.
It was a Scott Hall thing. Bad times don't last, but bad guys do. So it was a nice little nod there. Kevin Owens, every single segment Kevin Owens was in that night, he said something that was a nod to Scott Hall, and I just loved that. Yeah. But I did think that. Go ahead.
Sorry. I did catch that. I knew that was a nod to Scott Hall. I
Okay,
did.
good.
I the Razor's Edge in that I did. I did. I thought that was really classic.
Perfect. It's not a knock. I'm not one of those assholes who goes, "Oh, maybe you didn't know because you're dumb." I'm one of those assholes who goes, "Oh, you might not know this, and I'd love to teach you this because I want you to be a part of the community." You know what I mean?
No, yeah, for sure.
Then you're not a wrestling journalist.
That keeps me from being a journalist. Is I'm very engaging and forward moving, and that gets in the way every time.
No, but Ref Marsh, I was just giving you shit because you forgot about the Dewdrop Nikki ASH thing.
I already forgot that I forgot.
Yeah. That's the only reason I said something to you because you're like, "What?"
I know.
They're a tag team? I'm like, "Did you watch Raw? What's happening?" Like, when do I know something you don't know? You know, it's just because it doesn't get by you much. You know what I'm saying? Because I follow other stuff. I follow hockey, and we're in the midst of like trade deadline and all that good stuff, and the playoffs.
And baseball's back, so that's a whole other thing.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But so you had Kevin and Seth here doing their thing. I really got a kick out of that. The idea of their match was going to be like whoever wins this match gets to host a talk show with Steve Austin. I loved it because of the simplicity and stupidness of it all. And secondly, I loved it because I watched Twitter melt down talking about how stupid of a stipulation this is and how much they didn't care because of the stip. And I was all like, dude, we're buying a week of time. Yeah. It's clear as day. We're buying a week, and it's fucking funny.
I loved it. And Steve Austin's promo was fucking awesome. But by the way, with him on his little razor
the state of Texas. The great state of Texas.
Meanwhile, he was not in Texas. He was in Nevada, which was made that great. Because those mountains are not from Texas. But, you know,
that's
anyway.
An amazing point that I've heard literally no one bring up.
Yeah.
You're going to talk shit about Texas, the great state of Texas, backdrop of Nevada.
Where I don't live anymore, but I will defend wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I moved away from Texas years ago. I love Nevada, but the great state of Texas. 100%.
The only thing that would have made that better is if you'd have done the promo in L.A. So, yeah. No,
on the fucking Hollywood stars. The great state of Texas.
I'm excited for the KO Steve Austin stuff so much. Oh, yeah. I almost was like, oh no, are they going to give this to Rollins because it might actually be better because Rollins is so great. But I was like, no, because Kevin kind of did all the dirty work. They can't take it away. Fuck you, Sonya. Anyway, I was really, I thought it was great, and I agree with you. I was like, they're just killing the week. Yeah, I agree with you.
And it was fun and fine. And you know what? When you put on 104 shows a year before pay-per-views, you can burn a week of story. It's fine. We have time. I think wrestling fans don't realize we have time. And as a quick shot at AEW, because what's a Wrestling on the Rock show if I don't take a shot at AEW? I think one of their biggest follies is they don't understand they have time. They shotgun a lot of stuff and don't give it the time it deserves. No finesse, as producer lady says. But 100%. We have time. We can burn a week. We can have some fun. Go ahead, Beard.
No, I don't have any. I didn't have anything else to say. Thank you.
All right, Kev, what do you think? Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins fighting for the privilege to interview Stone Cold Steve Austin. With, by the way, P.S. Steve Austin fucking hates Kevin Owens all of a sudden, has no issues with Seth Rollins. So why would Seth want the interview anyways? Don't know. Go ahead, Kev.
But that's what made the whole Sonya getting involved thing funny too. Going back to heels and towing the line of being obnoxious and, relevant and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was hilarious. I thought KO, his little pep talk to Seth was great. Like, come on, you got to think of something. Think outside the box. And then all of a sudden, Seth has this epiphany and he goes, I got it. And it's like the same exact fucking thing. Reminded me of the South Park episode where the Simpsons did it first. And I think it'd be hilarious if, Seth Rollins keeps going back to his thoughts and it's something that somebody else is already doing.
Yeah, maybe they run that, like, where he tries to get involved in, like, something else, like the Damian Priest Ricochet thing or something else. Like, maybe this is what they just do with Seth Rollins because he's so good, and it would be a travesty if he's not at WrestleMania. But if they don't have anything for him, they don't have anything for him. But there'll be something. There'll be something for him.
There is a plan for Seth Rollins. I do not know what it is, but I would not be surprised if my fake wrestling journalism hat went on to say they have two different routes for him right now, and it's going to come down to A or B. It just has to do with the players involved. I wouldn't be shocked if it turns out it is Cody and this is where we're going because of other things, or if it turns out it's not Cody and because they couldn't come to terms, this is where we're going. I would be surprised if there's no Seth Rollins on WrestleMania. However,
I think he should be the host.
I was about to say, however, if he's
sorry.
not in it, he'll host it because they've always had a host. 1 year it was Alexa Bliss. Bailey was sort of a host and not host in a fantastic showing the year that she should have been in a match. I wouldn't be shocked if, hey, you're going to be a match with Cody Rhodes or you're going to host WrestleMania and be obnoxious all night long. I wouldn't be shocked. I'm going to be honest. I wouldn't be.
The wardrobe changes would be amazing.
Oh my God, the wardrobe changes for Seth Rollins.
Yeah, him and Becky both, their wardrobe game is off the chain.
Shout out to King Troy. King Troy is the guy who dresses them up. Seth Rollins has even said that King Troy was putting on the outrageous, outlandish outfits that Becky was wearing, and he started utilizing him as well. But 100%. King Troy is who's to blame for the suit game, and 100%. The wardrobe change was being amazing. I hope he comes out at least once with just a banana hammock.
No.
Come on.
No.
Yeah,
Why not?
I don't want that.
Hold on.
I mean, I don't need to see that.
How am I alone in this?
You and your dirty finishes.
I don't need a clean finish. Guys, is there anything else you guys wanted to throw out there about this week in wrestling? Things that are coming up that you're excited about that we didn't talk about or anything like that?
Well, one final thing about the Seth Rollins thing. I don't care what he does. I know if he does do something, it will be great. And I'm just going to wait and see. That's part of the experience, is not going to spoil the movie or whatever. I just want to see what happens. That's why we watch the shit, right? I want to see, let's see what happens. It'll be great because he's awesome. That's all I got. I don't have anything, Kev. I don't know about you. By the way, Kev, that hat is so awesome. I love it.
Thank you. For St. Patty's Day.
It's awesome.
The old St.
That tomorrow?
Patty's Day yotes.
Yeah. St. Patty's Day is always the day after Austin Day.
Oh, okay.
That's a good point.
Nice.
But
drink
yeah,
all
I
week.
mean, yeah, it's a hard one on the liver.
I'm not drinking
Yeah.
St. Patty's Day.
I think we pretty much covered everything that I want to go over. I have nothing else to add.
All right. Just want to make sure you guys had your platform. This Smackdown was the first one, or the Raw was the first one they showed the tribute to Scott Hall.
That was cool.
And it was really cool that they took the time to do so.
Of course they would too. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah. And the confirmation of Scott Hall passing away was the beginning of Raw. To be honest, as far as every news source, Twitter account, whatever you have, they were still hanging on whether or not Scott Hall was going to, quote, kick out or not. But WWE was the ones to break the news, as I'm sure they were in close contact. Yeah, real shame to start the show off in such a way. But like I said before, the idea that we could celebrate him at the tail end of his life, I think, is really important and really good and meaningful. And I even saw Mickie James post a tweet that she might be the only person who's ever met Scott Hall that doesn't have a picture giving him the too sweet. And she wishes she had. That she was afraid of looking like a mark.
She was told that and still is.
What?
The mark.
Yeah, that she was told not to look like a mark. Yeah. I just think that when you have those opportunities, don't let them slide. Whether it's a friend from high school, a friend from college, someone you just happen to bump into at a grocery store. I know a bunch of people have a ton of pictures with David Beckham at the grocery store over here on the north side because he was in there. And it took the courage of one person to say, "Can I get a picture?" That then formed a line. But at the same time, like, if these people meant something to you, if they were impactful to you, and to be honest, there's no fandom for wrestling today that doesn't involve what Scott Hall and what he started with the NWO. And I know there's a whole lot of circumstance to that. X-Pac was supposed to be the first one signed. His contract rolled over. There's a whole lot of stuff. There's a lot of story. End of the day, first one to show up, Scott Hall. He brings in Kevin Nash. NWO begins. Beginning of a full era.
Pretty epic moment in wrestling history for sure.
Incredible.
Those guys showing up on WCW. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they have a whole thing on Peacock about that you can watch.
Absolutely. Check it out. I've only reffed a handful of matches, but after I ref any match, I take a picture with the guys who were in it because you just don't know what's going to happen on the line. And you had that moment, you had that experience, and there's nothing wrong with being a little bit of a mark for it all. At the end of the day, a lot of people, when I think about it, in the early days, the 70s, 80s, and even 90s, there was a whole lot of rock star mentality to the business of pro wrestling, where I think now it's a whole lot of fandom for pro wrestling that feeds the business of pro wrestling. And I think that, hey, don't forget that you got there because you're a fan to begin with, and take those pictures, give those two sweets, and give everyone their flowers. Let them know what they mean to you and appreciate. TP Poker coming through at the tail end. Cheers, TP Poker. TP Poker
says, "Hello, friends. How's everybody doing? We're leaving TP Poker. The show's over. Thanks for showing up. Nice to have you."
Kev, final thoughts on Scott Hall?
Just, yeah, pretty much what we said earlier. Great dude, gonna be missed. Definitely gonna go back and watch a lot of his old matches and stuff like that. And yeah, rest in peace and see you down the road.
I've never ordered from Panda Express without a Scott Hall voice. Ciao, Meng.
That was stupid.
Beard, final thoughts, Scott Hall?
I know he's in the big squared circle in the sky. Hope he's, hanging out with Andre and all the greats up there.
100%. Happy 316 Day. Cheers to Scott Hall, revolutionary of the business. But I think that's it for us tonight, guys. We will be back tomorrow night for a brand new episode 1 here in the dive bar of the IWC. It's gonna be me. It's gonna be Miss Amanda Jane, Crybaby Clump. We're gonna talk AEW, NXT 2.0. A lot of great stuff happening over there. But for us tonight, I believe that's last call. Ciao, Meng.
Ciao, Meng.
Cheers. Cheers.
Hey, producer lady here. Thanks for tuning in. Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch. Or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with wrestling on the rocks.